Night. Villa fans, turn away now. It's our understanding Manchester United are set to trigger Youri Tielemans' release clause. Here's talkSPORT's Alex Crook.
There's been a lot of names attached to Manchester United in that midfield position. Youri Tielemans is one the club have managed to keep under wraps, seemingly right until it's almost a done deal. My colleague Ben Jacobs was reporting earlier, 35 million release clause in Tielemans' contract, so it looks a pretty straightforward one to do.
Also, Luca Digne could be on the move. PSG are set to bid for the defender, with our understanding that he could be available for as little as £10 million. Get all the latest at talksport.com. Andoni Iraola says he intends on enjoying the magic of the Liverpool job, but he isn't changing for anyone. He was asked if fans can expect immediate success. He says there's several stumbling blocks before they even think of that.
I think we have to accept there are difficult situations right now in terms of a lot of senior players leaving, very important players that have achieved almost everything here in the club, and also the very important players injured.
And Arthur Ferry says he's ready for the bright lights in high-ranking tennis competition. He's moved up to 36th in the world and become British #1 after his run to the Wimbledon semi-finals. Watch his full interview with talkSPORT on the YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Counter-terror police have taken over the Anne Whitaker murder investigation, and 2,700 have died during May and June heatwaves. Toby has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Widely sunny and clear for most of us, warm with strong sunshine, but breezy on the south coast.
Ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. So as England set up a World Cup semi-final against Argentina, do they have the feel of World Cup winners in waiting? Meanwhile, the Tuchel-Bellingham assessments, a sign of strain or the media's stirring the pot? Also today, despite the opposition, has bigger been better at this World Cup? Was the semi-final lineup manufactured? Will more clubs follow Manchester City with a postcode lottery? And was Brendan McCullum lucky to have lasted as long as he did? Jim White, Simon Jordan, we're live and talkSPORT. And we're still on the air. And Indeed. We're still talking about this World Cup.
Indeed.
Good morning. How was your weekend? Oh, good afternoon. I keep on thinking we're still at 10 o'clock in the morning. It cracks on and on and on, doesn't it?
Indeed it does.
Into the business end of it now.
Indeed.
Norway, what was your take on Norway when you look back on that?
I thought it was a poor game. I thought both sides weren't particular. I thought Norway were a better side and can consider themselves slightly unlucky. But the most important thing is England got the job done. However you win a football match, it kind of gets consigned to history once you've won it. We can evaluate it and we can talk about it and project it forward as to what's going to happen when we play against different opposition. Different opposition brings out different games. It's like styles make fights. After the first hydration break, I don't know what happened to them. I mean, they just seemed to fall away and drop away and obviously concede a goal and look like a side that didn't know whether it was Arthur or Martha and found its way back. Bellingham was in the right place at the right time, certainly with the second goal.
Yeah.
First goal was a brilliant goal, despite the controversy, and there's all kinds of conflicting evidence whether it did hit the wire or not. I think England found a way. One of the biggest commodities, as Thomas Tuchel said, and everyone seems to forget it, except when it suits them, is that luck is a component part. And a component part of winning anything in life, whether it's selling a business, owning something, running a football club, whatever, timing and luck. And sometimes
runs out though. Eventually.
Well, eventually, yeah. If that's
you've carried it for long enough.
But if that's your only commodity, that's your only commodity.
Yeah.
But it isn't the only commodity England have got. England have talented players, and they've played at times in fits and starts relatively well in certain games.
Yeah.
But you need even the best sides need luck. And if you can get to a point where the luck evaporates, but the quality comes through, then every part's done its job.
I do recall that moment, that controversial moment, the opening goal. The Norwegians claim the ball hit the spider cam, causing it to drop into the path of Gordon, who set up Bellingham. Bellingham had a lot to do and did it magnificently.
Yeah.
But if that was roles reversed, would England fans not be saying, oh, hang on, the ball hit the spider cam and dropped right into the path of Haaland?
I'm assuming they would, because it's not necessarily a Norwegian ailment, isn't it?
Right.
It's a footballing ailment. Anything that doesn't go your way, anything you haven't got is the reasons why you're unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Anything that goes against you is the reasons why you complain. Anything that you don't like is something that's attributable to the outcome that you didn't want. And so with that in mind, it's not a football fan circumstance. It is, a nation circumstance. It's a football fan circumstance. The Norwegians can consider themselves unlucky.
Yeah.
They can consider themselves unlucky. You know, they were, for large parts of the game, not the first 22 minutes where we had the pedestrian pass sideways for 22 minutes, but the bulk of the game, up until they almost fell away into extra time, they were the slightly better side, which really surprised me.
Me too. I must admit, me too. Let's get to this, Simon. The Tuchel Bellingham assessments. What is this? A sign of strain or the media stirring the pot? So, are journalists no longer allowed to do their job? After the game, and England have qualified for the semi-finals, so they're there. The highly experienced Gabriel Clark of ITV was in conversation with Tuchel.
The result is fantastic. We're in the last four. It's amazing, but not happy with the performance.
In what sense?
In every sense. Because, again, the commitment is there, but we made life very, very difficult for us in the way we played, how we played. Sloppy, a lot of technical mistakes, not fast enough, not repetitive enough. We were lucky today.
Was that the occasion, getting to the players?
I don't know, it's just...
mentality thing?
No, nothing. Oh, it's no mentality.
Well, if you're not happy with the players?
This is pure mentality. How can you ask about mentality now? This is pure mentality. It's not about mentality.
No, I mean when the players had the problem, was that the mentality? What was
There's
it?
no mentality problem. This is pure mentality. This is pure mentality. You can bottle it up and sell it.
Absolutely.
This is so why is the problem for mentality? It's the quality of our games. That's it.
So, I mean, that was a good back and forth, was it not? Then Gabriel Clark, post-match, spoke to Jude Bellingham.
The manager's actually not very happy. He said he was disappointed with the performance. There could have been more in many different ways.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, I think he obviously believes there could be more from the team.
Yeah, it's difficult out there. It's difficult. It's a tough shift. All the players have put in a very tough shift. So my thoughts and appreciation goes to the players who was out there who put in a great shift yet again.
So word got out, Simon, in the stadium that this back and forth was ongoing. Then in the mix zone, where a whole bunch of journalists from all over the world gather, the media gather in big numbers, Bellingham again was asked about Tuchel not being happy with the performance.
Thomas has just been quite critical of the performance after the game. Does that show the standards that he expects, the standards you guys expect of each other, and maybe that there's more to come from the team?
Maybe, but maybe he doesn't know what it's like to play in those kind of conditions against Erling Haaland, Odegaard, Nusa, Sorloth. You know, that's not an easy team to play against. So, you know, I think we've tried to create a positive environment. We should continue that going into the final four. I can't speak highly enough for the lads. You're not going to win every game popping the ball and making 1,000 passes. Sometimes you have to win dirty, and we've done that again tonight.
So, I mean, Gabriel's approach, and he is very experienced. I remember being with him at World Cups in the past. What we're seeing there, Simon, is it a sign of strain, or is it the media stirring the pot?
I don't think it's a sign of strain. I don't know why didn't he present the full picture to Jude Bellingham then? Why didn't he say to Jude Bellingham, he thought your mentality was outstanding, but he thought your performance was poor? I would imagine the reasons why he didn't do that is because that would enable a different response from the player. Because the player...
Well, he can predict the response the player's going to give.
Well, of course he can. He knows exactly the animals he's dealing with. He probably, if he asked Harry Kane would have given a completely different response than Jude Bellingham, because he's a mature, older, more considered player that doesn't have an edge to him, whereas Jude Bellingham people know does. So why wouldn't we, just out of curiosity, why wouldn't we present the entire picture? Why would we only present the critical side of things? Because we are curating an outcome. And the outcome is there's a potential, a distinct possibility, a bankable possibility that Jude Bellingham might take the bait. And the bait might be that he says something because he's done it previously before. So I don't know what we want to create by that. I don't know what outcomes we want to achieve. But the fact of the matter is, England, you've got a young kid that's 22, 23 years of age. And by the way, I don't agree with him. I don't agree with his little soliloquy about it's hard work out there. Well, do you know what? Earning £25 million a year and being lauded and applauded uphill and down dale and playing for your country in a quarterfinal of the World Cup should be hard.
Yeah.
It should be something that people, only a few of the rare few can give. But we have created, our media and our football fraternity have created this idea in players that they are untouchable. It's only in recent years where people like me have come in the media and gone, these players need to be called out. Before that, they were like deities. They were not touched. They weren't sitting. Managers were wonderful people that never did anything wrong, and except obviously bad results. So now you've got players that have got it seeded into their mentality that anything that whiffs of a criticism gets their heckles up. And that's been created by the culture of the way that the media lionizes them, builds them up, the way the football fraternity does exactly the same. And when you call them out for it, they don't like it because they're not used to it. But my argument with this situation is, why wouldn't Gabriel Clark have presented the full idea?
What, in a kind of transcript
No,
form?
no, hang on a second.
I mean, when Tuchel Tuchel mentioned to him earlier on, we made life very difficult
Absolutely
for
right.
ourselves today. The result is fantastic. We are in the last four. It's amazing.
Yes.
But I'm not happy with the performance in every sense.
But he presented a picture to a young...
That's good.
That's fantastic.
That's an honest appraisal from Tuchel.
That's nothing to do with the journalist. That's to do with Tuchel. Now, Tuchel will now learn that the next time he opens his mouth, he will not speak to a journalist with any real.
But he wasn't happy with the performance.
He wasn't happy. With
I think if they give the same kind of performance against Argentina,
he'll
get to the final,
maybe
he'll say the same thing.
Maybe, but why didn't the journalist answer me this? Not paraphrase, not abridge the whole thing. The journalist paraphrased what he said. So why couldn't he have paraphrased the opening bit? The manager was very happy with your mentality.
That's what Tuchel said. But
the manager said he was very happy with their mentality as well. Why wasn't that dropped in? Why was only the negative dropped in?
Gabriel mentioned mentality, and Tuchel really pushed him back.
Correct,
on that.
and said the mentality was brilliant.
So Gabriel did his job, and more.
No. Why did Gabriel not take that to Jude Bellingham? Why did the journalist only take the negative? Just out of curiosity.
But what he took to Bellingham, was that untrue?
No. Why didn't he take the balance?
Was that untrue?
But why didn't he take the balance part of it?
Was it untrue?
No, but it wasn't the only part of it, was it? Why didn't he take the positive and the negative? Why didn't he say this? The manager was incredibly praising of your mentality.
No, I disagree.
No, because you would do, because what you want is the outcome.
Piers Morgan. What a load of absolute codswallop. Because Gabriel Clark did his job superbly well. He asked the right questions and got very newsworthy answers.
So it's newsworthy, is it?
Job done.
So rather than intellectualise the conversation and balance
intellectualise it.
Let me finish my point rather than you jump all over me. Let me intellectualise. Why don't you intellectualise the conversation rather than sensationalise it? Why is it newsworthy to create and curate an outcome?
What do you mean by that? Create and curate.
Right. So you've got a balanced answer from the manager. You've got criticism and praise. You've got both. In that interview that Gabriel Clark did with Thomas Tuchel, you've got absolute honesty, and you've got criticism, and you've got praise. So why was the only thing that the player was confronted with criticism?
So you think that was the only thing that Gabriel Clark put to Bellingham?
Yes. The manager's not.
I don't think that's the only thing that was put to Bellingham, Simon. Not for one moment.
Okay, well, everyone heard it.
But the whole, he said you're in the semi-final. What does it mean to the fans? And Jude,
no.
How does it make you feel?
But he's not talking about that. He's talking about the manager. The only thing in relation to the manager that he put to him was criticism.
And Tuchel said we made life very, very difficult for ourselves today.
We can go around in this obtuse.
I'm not happy with the performance in every sense.
Why wouldn't he have?
Because the manager had been very critical of the performance,
and he'd also praised their mentality.
But what do you want Gabriel to do?
I want a balance.
Handstand that you're in the semi-final.
No. I want a balanced conversation.
He's not a cheerleader.
No, he's not supposed to be.
This was balanced. But
how's it balanced?
But it was balanced.
How's it balanced? The only thing is,
it was balanced.
Anyone in their right mind, and let's open the phone calls up and see what the public say. Anyone in their right mind would say the only thing that was.
But your mate, who's one of the most experienced journalists alive, Piers Morgan, he asked the right questions and got very newsworthy answers. So you say he didn't ask the right questions?
No, I didn't say he didn't ask the right questions. I said he didn't put a balanced perspective. There is a difference. The questions he put to Jude Bellingham was...
So you think that would have got a different response from Jude?
Actually, it wasn't a question. It was a statement.
Do you think that would have got a different response from Jude?
Might have done. But then I wouldn't be having this argument, would I? I'd say it was a balanced approach and a player decided to take whatever he decided to take out of it. If I'm sat there, irrespective of how old I am, and someone says to me in a balanced conversation, your mentality was perfect, but your performance was weak, I might turn around and say, Well, yeah, a different answer. But we don't want a different answer. We want the answer we got. And that's a delightful...
Who wants the answer we
media.
got?
Sections of the media love this. Piers will love it because Piers loves the red top stuff. He loves to get people, how much do you earn?
Simon,
how much are you worth? How much is this?
Tuchel volunteered it.
No, yes, indeed, but you're not listening to me.
I am listening to you.
So my question is not what Tuchel said, is why didn't the journalist take both the praise and the criticism to the player? You know it, and I know it. And everyone will know it. But don't know it.
Gabriel put it to him. The fans are loving it. You guys are in a semi-final.
But he talked about the manager specifically, and we're criticising or observing or opining on what Jude Bellingham's response to his manager, not what the fans say.
Was Tuchel unhappy with the performance?
Yeah, so he should be.
Yeah, that's what Gabriel put to
Jude. But he also talked...
That's a fair question to put to Jude,
why didn't he put the
it?
balance?
But is that not a fair question to put to Bellingham?
At the same time as putting balance in the conversation. If you're trying to
agree to disagree.
It's dishonest. It's absolutely fundamentally
What's dishonest about it?
Because you're not presenting the full picture. You are taking what the manager's worst
Tuchel
things.
said his bit, and Jude said his bit.
But that is why I qualify things by sitting with you and Piers, and I'm delighted to say that whilst I'm in the media, I'm not a creation of it. I didn't build my career around the media.
All that again.
Well, it's true.
That again.
It's true.
I've never heard anything like that.
Because you wouldn't. Because you're a journalist. Your entire life has been journalism. What you do is you look at it and go, how can we get
throat about that as well? No, we don't.
But
And that's where you're wrong. No one in the media, when you get to the level of Gabriel Clark, you're not in a mix zone, or you're not in a post-match situation going, oh, I've got him. I've got him. You do not get it.
I watch you guys.
You do not get it.
I watch you do it. I watch you do it. I watch Piers do it. I watch you all do it. I've been on the receiving end.
You think this is a gotcha moment?
Yeah, you guys love it.
How can you be?
You guys can't get more excited.
And have you never done a gotcha moment?
No, I have a strong... Well, like what?
In your various media...
No, when I have a robust conversation with somebody about opinions on something,
even though,
I don't try and trip them
up. You're in the media or part of it, or not part of it, or when you're in or out.
No, I try to make them accountable, give them a rounded perspective. So if I confront somebody with an argument, it's rounded so they can deal with all aspects of it. Because I want to win the argument on facts, on merit,
so really,
not by creating...
There's nobody else like you.
I don't think so, yeah. Absolutely right.
Love it.
Anybody else under Premier League Football Club?
Love it.
No.
No, that's true. And I'll give you that.
There you go.
And that is true, Simon. And
anyone
I will
else
say
about
this.
17 businesses?
You are absolutely right. When it comes
I can
to
go on.
And who am I to stand in a soapbox and say that was right and that was wrong? But here's the thing. You are right when you say no one else calls out players like you do. And you have done. And you've been on your own on that. As long as you and I have been doing this show.
But it changes.
You have been calling out the attitude of players, and they take all the money out the room and everything like that. 100% support you on that. But the bottom line in this is this. Tuchel offers, we made life very, very difficult for ourselves today.
That's right, I did.
The result's fantastic. We're in the last four. It's amazing, but I'm not happy with the performance in every sense. And then when Gabriel mentioned mentality, Tuchel was on him.
Yeah, he did.
And pushed him back and further back and further back. And Bellingham is absolutely right to say what he said to Gabriel. But why would Jude push back on the mentality thing, or why would he not?
But he didn't push back on the mentality thing because it wasn't presented to him.
They're all big boys.
But he wasn't presented to him.
In spite of Jude being a young man, they can answer questions any which way they like.
Jude would have been able to see a balanced conversation where he wasn't being pillared by his manager. In his mind's eye, after 120 minutes of a very difficult game, and I think that the players should be able to conduct themselves.
We've a long way to go today, haven't we?
I think that if you put a balanced argument to players, you might get a balanced response.
Yeah.
When you put a one-dimensional argument, which is basically your manager is not good enough, you're likely to get the response that you got. Now, should Jude... Now, if you'd have put that...
That was pretty much most of the interview.
I'm willing to wager you, if you'd put the same question to Harry Kane, he'd have answered it differently.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't put that question to Harry Kane because Harry Kane wouldn't give the journalist
Gabriel
the answer
did not selectively choose parts of what Tuchel said to curate a response.
Well, we'll agree to disagree then.
Somebody as experienced as Gabriel Clark is not asking a question in order to get a specific answer.
That's right. He's asking it for the well-being of the nation. He's asking it to create an outcome.
He's asking a question to get an answer.
He knows that by answering that question...
Not to create an outcome.
He knows there's a distinct possibility that by only presenting the critical side of what Tuchel said, that he might get a strong response. And he got it.
Are we at 3 o'clock?
And well done.
We're coming up to 1:20. We're live in talkSPORT, as if you didn't know. And we're with you, courtesy of Tool Station. Stay with us all the way through, if you can, till 4.
after a game, positivity, and you throw that negative comment about what a manager says, but you haven't told Bellingham everything positive that the manager said.
Sorry, just being on the other side of that, right?
Yeah.
So you're a player, you've come off the pitch and maybe had negativity after a win, but that is his job.
Yeah.
That's him. That's the guy, the fella doing his job, Adrian Clark.
Well, is that a problem in the media then?
But it's not. It's just your manager's just said this. What do you make about that, Jude?
Yeah, but I still think like that might be his job, but then like when people moan, and there's been a lot of moaning on social media by a lot of the public, we've just got through to a semi-final. We should be positive, and people are creating a beef between our best player and the manager.
Tuchel created the beef.
No,
he put it out there first.
But Tuchel's not called out any player. He said what he thought about the game, which was honest. No problem. I totally agree with what he says. We can be a lot better. But when a player finishes a game, he's exhausted. He's done 110 minutes in that heat. He's shattered. He's carried his team through. He scored 2 goals. The last thing he wants to hear for the first question is, the manager said that's not good enough. Why do you say, like, okay, Jude Bellingham, what was that feeling like? Look at the fans behind you. How positive? Why can't we be positive in the media?
Because you can see that. You can quite clearly see there's a lot of positivity around you, Gabby.
What do you mean? Yeah, but that's the first question you want to ask your man. You don't want to be asked a negative question when you're
trying
shattered.
to win the World Cup.
Exactly.
Not just get to a semi-final.
No one said you're not trying to.
You've got through the quarterfinals. It wasn't your best performance.
Yeah.
It's nothing to get really overly excited about.
I think it is. I think it 100% is, because this World Cup, France are the only team that have been outstanding. Argentina, like I said, we've got through every round being poor. Then after the game, being in their media, we got to do. That's a conversation for another day. I just think we look for problems. There shouldn't be any problem, shouldn't be any big talk today about, there's beef, they don't get on. When I watch him on the pitch, it looks like he's listening to his manager. I don't see a beef there.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Monday, July the 13th. It is Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. 1:24. We're in the afternoons now. Well, for the time being, we'll go back to 10 in the morning when that moment presents itself. The Tuchel Bellingham assessments. What did we witness there after England got through against Norway? Is it a sign of strain, or is it the media stirring the pot? Gabriel Clark in front of, for ITV, in front of Thomas Tuchel, and then in front of Jude Bellingham, and both took the lines they took. But what did we see in the process? Is it a sign of strain within England, or is it the media stirring the pot? I don't think it's either, to be quite honest. But let's hear from you, and you're phoning in big numbers, 03717 223344. Jason's a Chelsea fan and no doubt an England fan. Jason, good afternoon. What do you want to tell us?
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, I think out of the two of them, it's the media stirring the pot, because I listened to obviously both sides of what you and Simon was just saying, and completely agree with what Simon said. Was and the thing what you said as well, Jim, was as soon as Gabriel Clark mentioned mentality, Thomas Tuchel was straight on him because that was the one thing that he disagreed with and didn't want that to be put across that he was questioning. He questioned the performance because, yes, we didn't play particularly well. He questions other bits, which he stated. But as soon as mentality was mentioned, that was when it looked like Tuchel really got the ump about it, because you can question the performance, but in his mind, you couldn't question their mentality.
Sure.
So then when Gabriel Clark went to Jude Bellingham, as Simon said, he mentioned all the negatives that were said, but didn't follow it up with, or even start with. The boss thinks that the mentality was superb and pushed back on that. However, he wasn't very impressed with it.
We're just losing your line, unfortunately, Jason. Let's go to Tom, the Leicester fan and England fan. Tom, what's your take on it?
Hey there, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Tom. We can indeed. What do you want to say on this?
Well, I'm with Simon 100%. I just think Gabriel Clark has just crossed the line from reporting to storytelling. He opened his line with Jude Bellingham about Tuchel not being happy, and that just wasn't what happened in the interval with Thomas Tuchel. And I was fuming watching it because although Jude's a character, I just think he had no chance but to retaliate to the comments the way they were put to him.
Yeah, I know where you're going with Jude, but here's the thing. In the Tuchel interview, when Gabriel said, "So what were you not happy with?" he replies, "Everything." So Gabriel quite rightly followed that up with, so what are you talking about? Performance, mentality. He was talking about the performance, and then Tuchel pushed him right back when he mentioned mentality.
Presenting that. Yeah, sorry. When presenting that to Jude, he didn't reference performance. He just referenced that he wasn't happy. The guy was happy. They're in the semi-final of the World Cup.
That was factually correct.
A difficult game.
But Tuchel wasn't happy.
I disagree. Tuchel was very happy. He just wasn't happy about the performance element. He was critical of the performance element. That's the key.
Yeah. But, I mean, before you leave us, Tom, do you honestly think the media is here to stir the pot at this particular time, at a crucial time in the World Cup, to stir the pot to what end?
I don't know what Gabriel Clark's motives are. I can't speak for that, but that is not good for the England camp if this catches fire and there's issues in the camp. It can't help. If I was the FA, the first thing I would be doing is limiting access for reporters like that moving forward, because it doesn't help anybody.
What, you shut them down, do you?
You're left with
limit them access. Scenario. Why would you do that?
Well, the timing is everything. Timing after a game, emotions are high, and to be put in that position and to take away, from that Tuchel interview and use it as a ploy to add sort of an issue.
It's not Gabriel. It's not in Gabriel or the media's interest to use it as a ploy. If England go out to Argentina, they go out to Argentina. It's nothing to do with this.
Why did he do it?
Why did he do it? Because, as Piers Morgan rightly says, he asked the right questions and got very newsworthy answers. What were you not happy with, Thomas? Everything.
He can ask difficult questions. Gabriel Clark's got history for asking difficult questions, and he's been great at doing it.
Yeah.
The timing and the way that he framed that at the time, I think straight afterwards, he wouldn't have thought, "Oh, gotcha." Knowing how professional he is, I think he would have thought, "Oh, I'm not sure if I've represented that right," because that could blow up. He must have known when that interview was going on that maybe he'd stirred a pot that wasn't there to be stirred.
I mean, I'm just not sure these days what. I know what you want to hear a lot of the time, Tom. We're heading to a break in a moment. But do you honestly want Gabriel to say, "Well, Thomas, wow, you're in a World Cup semi-final. How does it feel?" Is that what you want?
No, I like that Thomas Tuchel bit back, and I like that he corrected Gabriel when he mentioned mentality.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy that interview. What I didn't enjoy is the fact that then it was framed for Jude in a different context. The opening line that you played at the start of the show was, "Thomas wasn't happy." That isn't what happened in the interview. He wasn't happy with an element. He was not. He was happy and ecstatic. They're in a semi-final. He knows they need to do better, and he's using it as a case point for doing that. I just don't understand. The disconnect there is too big. It goes over the line from reporting to storytelling. It was framed wrong.
Of course. Before you leave me, Tom, Thomas Tuchel did say, "We were lucky today. We need to play better." He was right in both points, right? Yeah.
Definitely, I think there's huge positives. I think without a Jude Bellingham, we really would have struggled to get through this tournament. I'm scared going into the next game, but I do think that the better teams coming onto us may help us somewhat. But ultimately, whoever wins that tournament has got to beat France at some stage, and that looks daunting for everyone.
Tom, it's a good call. Thanks for making it. 03717 223344. More calls after this.
Are France that good, or have they been tested yet?
I think probably a little bit of both. I think they are that good. I think they are, because they showed second half what they can do in tight spaces and there. But I think there needs to be a moment where they will inevitably come up, probably against Spain, hopefully against England, where with their teams, that more danger lies ahead. But they kind of, I think it was quite simple for France.
Mate, they're coasting to the semi-final of the World Cup.
Yeah. Well, they're a good side though. They're a good side. They've got the best player in the world.
Do you know what I like about France? And it's a bit of a throwback. The forwards, when they get the ball, you see a lot of players, number 10s or midfielders, they'll get it and they'll pass it out wide and they'll come back and they'll go out the other side and then you might try and get to the byline. When France win the ball, they stick it into the front three or front four and they run at you like through the middle of the park. And they just drive with the ball, a bit like what Gaza used to do. And then the game just opens up. And you're looking at it going, as a defender, I'm watching the Moroccans, they're going, how'd you defend that? Well, you've got three people running off the ball, and then you've got the player with the ball running at you, straight at you. The second goal they score is just like them just going, well I'm just going to run through you.
Well, it was 2-0.
Hard to defend again.
It could have been 4 if Mbappe scores that. JP had a chance at the end there, and brilliant, gets got on his left foot and then scuffs his shot. And in the end, it was comfortable for France. They really didn't break a sweat. I don't remember their keeper having anything to do at all. There might have been a couple of crosses. I don't remember it. But, yeah, they're that good, mate. And I think they've got a little bit of a fear factor about them because everyone knows how good they are going forward. You cannot allow their 2 wide men to run at your fullback 1v1. You can't allow Elise to get on the turn. Even in tight areas, he'll let the ball run across him and he'll turn, he'll flick, and he'll play balls in. And you've got Mbappe, the best player in the world, up top.
He's considered one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. But the story of Lev Yashin could have ended early were it not for a phone call and a friendly. In 1963, the Soviet Union's man between the sticks was seriously considering retirement. The World Cup in Chile the year before went badly wrong for him. But as he's about to hang up his gloves, he gets a call from Fernando Riera, the man who managed the Chile team that beat him in the World Cup 12 months before. Riera's managing a rest of the world side in a centenary game for the English Football Association and tells Yashin, I want you. I mean, look at this team. There's Yashin, and there's Eusebio, Di Stefano, Law and Puskás. England puts out pretty much their main international side, led by Blackpool's Jimmy Armfield, and also featuring Moore, Charlton, Greaves, the men who'd go on to claim glory in '66. Yashin plays the first 45 minutes and, as you can see, he was busy. At half-time, he goes off injured, but he's kept a clean sheet. The match, broadcast back home in the Soviet Union, proves to the people that Yashin is still the best of the best. Returning home a national hero again convinces him that he has one more World Cup in him. And at that tournament in '66, the Soviet Union came fourth, their best ever World Cup finish.
We know who's in the semi-finals, don't we? Tomorrow, France versus Spain, live in talkSPORT, 8 o'clock for that one. Wednesday, England against Argentina, live in talkSPORT, 8 o'clock for that one. Who's going to get to the final? We know who came through at the weekend, and after the Norway result, England got through there in the end. A bit of a to and fro between Gabriel Clark and Thomas Tuchel, and Gabriel Clark of ITV and Jude Bellingham. And this is what we're centred on at the moment. We will move on shortly. But many of you having your say on this one, the Tuchel-Bellingham assessments. Was it a sign of strain, or is it the media stirring the pot? And if the media were stirring the pot, why would they wish to stir the pot? Is the anger towards the media, Simon, born out of deflection, really? Because at the end of the day, it was far from a convincing performance. It was a poor performance from England, and that is what Tuchel is centering upon. And he's honest enough to say, what part of it did you not like? Everything.
There's two parts to this conversation, isn't there? Gabriel Clark conducted, and we can give Gabriel all the praise that he deserves for a brilliant interview that he managed to elicit, albeit Thomas Tuchel was bursting at the seams to say it, the information that people would want to hear. People were sitting there watching Thomas Tuchel talk to the screen and doing what football managers. How many times have we sat in the studio going, for the love of God, tell the truth? Managers going this, that, and the other. And everyone's going,
yeah.
So everyone loved the interview.
Yeah.
But now people are pushing back saying, well, why couldn't you have taken that balanced interview and presented it to Jude Bellingham? Why couldn't you have done that? Because we can praise Gabriel over here for the interview that he did with Thomas Tuchel. And then by the essence of balance, we can also criticise Gabriel Clark for not presenting a rounded picture to Jude Bellingham and getting a response from Jude Bellingham, which I think Jude Bellingham shouldn't have given him, by the way. I think Jude Bellingham should zip it up and not be saying what he said. I don't admire him for saying it. I also don't like all the radio stations yesterday I was listening to on the way to the theme park with my son, LBC, saying, is Jude Bellingham a terrible role model? Well, he's a footballer. You know, he doesn't have to be a role model. He can be a footballer and, and a leading footballer. Yeah. And is it the kind of role model that we want? Oh, is this the kind of media that we want? Not as well then, is it? Is this the kind of media we want? So I think that Gabriel could have done a better job, made it more balanced. It's no more controversial than that.
It's fashionable to hate on the media, isn't it?
Well, it's
something you do regularly.
But it's an interesting thing because...
Even though you're in it.
It's an interesting thing because, as I said to you during the break, one of the big headlines and one of the buzzwords inside the media is if it bleeds, it leads, which tells you the psyche of newspapers and it tells you the psyche of the media.
Where did that come
from? But newsrooms and everywhere. You know it exists. You know that phrase.
I've never heard that phrase in my life.
You have. Yes, you bloody fibber.
Tell me it again.
If it bleeds, it leads.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Stop it, you.
That's a new one in me.
You know you have, right.
Okay.
Anyway, we also have to look at the kind of society that wants to hear this sort of stuff. Because if people didn't want it, then it wouldn't be presented. Because we know, we've said it before, when controversy and terrible things happen, rating figures go up, people are more engaged. When the world is wonderful and the bees are buzzing and the birds are singing and everyone's happy in the world, nobody's really interested in the media that much. So we know this to be the case. So we get the kind of media that we deserve. And I don't disagree with the premise of what you're saying, which is the journalist's job. It's the journalist's job to get what you can get. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I have to appreciate it. Doesn't mean I don't believe that certain outcomes are curated by the way that the questioning goes. We all know that you can lead an interview the way you want to lead it if you create the questions and curate them. And if the person isn't canny enough to manipulate their way around the minefield of being in with Paxman or Morgan or whoever, or you, or whoever it is, they find themselves in a situation which they didn't mean it that way, being curated by a clever journalist. In this instance, the journalist decided to omit a decent part of the conversation where the manager was praising his players and only present criticism.
I just think this. Did Gabriel Clark do his job? Yes, that and more. He had to stand there when Tuchel pushed right back in him about mentality.
Yeah, it was a good interview.
And Tuchel was right to do that.
It was a good interview.
I'm not talking about that aspect of the performance. Mentality got us through it. Strong mentality.
But no one's got a problem with that.
And I love all that.
But everyone thinks it's brilliant. But no one's got a problem that Tuchel went off and blew his gasket and terminated it wasn't good enough. People appear, including me, to have a slight problem with the fact that there wasn't a balanced argument put to Bellingham, and now the Bellingham response is being elevated.
But you're assuming, Simon, that would have got a completely different response from Jude.
Yeah, I reckon
Bellingham's a big boy.
I reckon, but I tell you what, there'll be no argument from me then. I wouldn't be making this point. I'd be saying, well, hang on a second. He was given the balance, and he's now chosen to be disrespectful. Then he's not been. Then I'd have a different view. I personally don't think that Jude should be saying what he said.
No,
I think there should be more respect.
Fair enough.
I also think footballers are bred now of an entitled world. We call them fragile. They're not fragile. It's not fragility. It's bleeding entitlements. They are entitled to be paid tens of millions of pounds. They're entitled to be lauded and applauded and revered and worshipped and admired. But if you dare confront them with a little bit of, that's not good enough.
I would add Bellingham and Kane have scored 12 of England's 13 World Cup goals between them.
Fabulous players.
He's doing pretty well, Jude.
Fabulous. But it doesn't make him beyond criticism.
Here's Paul, a big West Ham fan. What did you make of it all, Paul? Good afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon, guys. I think Gabriel Clark is a disgrace.
Well, I mean, why?
As you guys have, the first part, fantastic. Great interview with Tuchel. The second part, the way he delivered that to Jude was it was so wrong. I was watching it. I was on a high. England have made the semi-final of the World Cup by hook or by crook, whatever way you want to dress it up. And I was watching that interview, and I just felt so annoyed the way he put that to Jude. And by the way, if I was Jude, and I'd just run my socks off for that time, he was outstanding. Yeah. And I got told that the way Gabriel delivered that to me, I would be, well, whatever. Whatever. That was bloody hard out there. And it was so wrong. And it's really, really wound me up. I think you should apologise.
What would you have liked Gabriel to have asked Bellingham then, Paul?
Like what Simon said, the boss, 10 out of 10 for mentality. You guys, he didn't need a full script, but just tell me, yeah, okay, he's got a point. And my reaction would have been, well, do you know what? That's his opinion. I would just kept my mouth shut. But the way he delivered that, he wasn't the full. And you're not focusing on that, Jim. Let's get it right. The second interview, you're ignoring that point.
But my contention is the media are not stirring the pot. Gabriel Clark is not out to stir the pot here, Paul. He's really not, mate. He's really not.
I don't know why he done it then. He should apologise.
Apologise?
Or it should be restricted. Yeah,
anything
absolutely.
but. Paul, thanks for the call. Glenn's a big Forest fan. Glenn, good afternoon. What do you want to say? Who do you want to apologise?
Well, firstly, how are we doing, Jim? You all right?
Good,
Simon,
thank you, mate.
Simon, you are the best thing on talkSPORT. Full stop. I don't care what anybody says. Just listen to that.
Thank you, mate.
What I will say is I agree with everybody that's been on. Ever since we've been watching England football, I remember watching it in '96. Ever since Gabriel Clark's been on ITV, he is so negative and boring on England. I'm not asking to be put on a pedestal. I'm not praised, sing the praises. Just don't stir the pot. You know exactly why he's done it. It's like starting a conversation with, don't get mad, but he's done it exactly. You asked Jim, why has he done it? And he's done it for this exact reason. The exact reason I've rang up, the exact reason you two are talking about it, to get the media hit, to get the clickbait, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly why Gabriel Clark's done it. And I agree with the last guy, the West Ham fan, saying, Gabriel Clark, I'm not expecting him to apologise, because he won't. But
just in the passing, Glenn, Matt Lawton, chief sports correspondent of The Times, vastly experienced, hugely respected. His intro in The Times. Jude Bellingham said England had to win dirty against Norway in response to the criticism levelled at the team by Thomas Tuchel after their gruelling quarter-final in Miami. Is that right?
Mate, I've got a saying, and it's whether it's work, whether it's football or whatever, I'd rather be lucky than good. We weren't brilliant. We got lucky. So what? Winning's winning.
Yeah. But
there's no need.
That's right, isn't it? What Matt's saying in The Times, isn't it? That's right.
Well, I agree. But what I'm saying is there's no need for Gabriel Clark to try and dig a void in between our manager and our best player. Why?
Do you honestly think he's doing that? Do you honestly think that's to the forefront of Gabriel?
Would we be talking about Gabriel Clark if he hadn't said them comments? No, we wouldn't. It'd be the same boring, monotone person that he is when he does them interviews on the next one. But because he's tried to put this division, why? We're on an absolute high. I've watched England until I was like 24. I've only seen us get to a quarter final. And then ever since then, semi-finals and finals have been brilliant. I go to a place called the Trent.
So you would like a celebratory post-match interview like fan media would do?
No.
Fan media.
Again, thank you. Simon.
Here we go. Let's all celebrate. We're in a semi-final.
No, that's not what he's saying. What we're saying is that Gabriel Clark is a product of his environment, and the environment it's created in British media is it likes to get hold of subjects and start turning them into different stories. It likes to focus on the negative side of things. So do I think he's stirring the plot? No, I think he's a scorpion and a frog. I think he's travelling on the back of the frog, stings him halfway across and gets drowned halfway across the lake because he's a scorpion. This is what the British media do. They take people down. They build them up so they can knock them down. It's a mentality that pervades the entirety of the British media. And Matey Boy downstairs, who you keep quoting left, right and centre, Piers Morgan, is a massive exponent of that. And I don't know how you dare keep a straight face and keep quoting him.
Piers Morgan, he asked the right questions.
You're going to quote him again. Piers Morgan, the blue chip for broadcasting.
You were a guest on his show. Amy's
not his show.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's Piers Morgan's show, live from Uncensored with Piers Morgan, and then in tiny letters.
World Cup Uncensored, yeah, absolutely.
Amy, finish this for me. Big Manchester United England fan. We can still laugh about all this, Amy. We're not talking about life and death. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. I don't think the issue was that Gabriel Clark asked the tough questions. I think good journalists do that. I think it's the way that he framed them, and Simon was absolutely right. If you present someone's comments to make them sound more critical than they were, you're not seeking the truth, are you? You're just trying to shape your narrative. England had just reached a World Cup semi-final. You know, we're all buzzing about it. You know, we were out, everyone was out Saturday night, all the fans were watching it, and we hear Gabriel Clark go on trying to get this narrative about a division. We're now seeing Argentina media talk about it. I mean, it's horrendous. We build ourselves up to just knock ourselves down, like Simon says.
Do you honestly believe that there's an element of Gabriel wanting to bring about division? Do you honestly believe that, Amy?
He's a journalist, and they sell stories. It's a story. The media run with it. They're renowned for running with it. Whether it's Wags at another World Cup, whether it's something else, there's always a negative on it. They're always looking for a negative spin. Always. They could have spoke about his goals, his performance, what it was like out there, but the first comment he took to him was the manager wasn't happy. Well, he actually said two things.
But he wasn't happy, was he, Amy?
But he also said he was positive with their mentality their grit and their determination.
He did, but he hated the performance.
Which is 50-50, isn't it, Jim? Are you living in a parallel universe this morning?
We're in the last four. It's amazing, but I'm not happy with the performance in every sense.
But he didn't say that to Jude, though, did he? He didn't say that to Jude. But he didn't say that to Jude. So while you just doing what you did to Simon, talking over, he didn't say that to Jude.
I think Jude's a big boy and stood up for Jude in a very good way. To be quite honest, Gabriel Clark, we're all talking about it, but Gabriel Clark did not go about that interview with this kind of reaction in mind. That's my opinion.
Okay.
We're live on talkSPORT. We'll do
get your words out.
Get a couple of clips from the Piers Morgan show.
He's wobbling now. He's wobbling now. He's losing it.
The day and hour I wobble, will you beside me? We're live in talkSPORT with Tool Station, and I'm going to hit him over the head with one of these tools very shortly. First stop, Tool Station.
They get into this weird situation where they forget what happened before. So all the big games, they played Havertz, right? Gyökeres, who you bought in at the start of the season, was going to be, for all the big games, in all the big games, he was on the bench. Facts, that's what happened. So the manager doesn't trust him. That's not our opinion, that's just objectively looking at it. Havertz gets injured quite a lot, unfortunately. Gary Jesus is not the same since he's come back from his injury. So if you're now telling me that you can get through this season again and everybody else is going to be as poor as they were last year, I think you're just forgetting the fact that you lot were all losing your marbles around the Man City loss. And it was, we need a proper striker. Arteta don't know what he's doing again. You win the league, it's great, we're going to win it.
No, but you know, what I've always said to, I've always said to you, I always said to him that Gyökeres wasn't bought in for the big games, did I? I said that to you. We bought Gyökeres in for the game.
I get
listen,
explain. I want to hear
the year before, Arsenal, it weren't the record against Man City's, the Liverpool, it weren't that cost us the league. It was we couldn't beat Fulham, couldn't beat West Ham, couldn't beat them lesser clubs. Gyökeres coming. I mean, he said it. Right, it's one of them. Gyökeres this season, though. Gyökeres this season scored against the Fulhams, the West Ham, so we didn't have a problem getting past those teams, which is why then we went on to win the league.
Okay, I think you won the league because you played very pragmatic football. I'm not actually allowed to say the type of football that people are calling it on air, but you played a certain type of football.
Would you play that type of football to win the league?
No.
What?
What
are
you
talking?
Of course you would.
Honestly.
If I was a footballer.
No, it's just like...
my team?
Yeah.
No, I'll be happy like you lot. I'll be exactly... You get me? I'll be happy. Of course I will.
But would you like to see Spurs play that way to win?
Brendan Johnson scored with like his knee or something and we won the trophy. I'm happy. I don't care, bro. However it gets done, I'm happy. I don't really care. But what I'm saying is, you can't like gloat about it and say, oh, we don't need a 9. That's crazy. You do need a 9, respectfully. What are you talking about, bro? If you sold Osimhen and Havertz right now, you could... sorry, Osimhen. If you bought Osimhen and sold Gyökeres and Havertz right now, you'd be great. You'd be fine. You could buy Barcola.
Hello, I'm Matt Fordham from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com for all the latest odds and offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
If you're watching live on YouTube, you'll see Simon Jordan and myself laughing and joking with each other. This is what we're all about. We're all chums in the end. England are in a World Cup semi-final against Argentina. Time to look ahead to the day with talkSPORT Bet. And a fellow who did great work with us out in the US of A and is doing the same here, talkSPORT Bet ambassador Ryan Douglas. Ryan, you join us at a fairly sensitive time.
Incredible.
Obviously,
you're a journalist,
feelings are running high. Where do you want to start today, mate? Shall we talk about England's semi-final opponent?
Yes, let's do it. Argentina. Yes, an early look at it. I must admit, I nearly forgot all of my prep because I was so engrossed in that 50 minutes. So bear with me with this segment. But yes, Argentina, an early look at it. And a lot of people, obviously, it's a toss-up, isn't it, between, because they're two major nations, two big sides. Are England going into a World Cup game as the underdogs for the first time? According to the betting, no. England are still the favourites for this game. The actual price is 31-20 at the moment. It will change as we approach kickoff. Argentina 19-10. Not loads in it, but they are the favourites for it. So the traders and talkSPORT Bet, Simon, they're saying that England are the favourites. Are you any more or less convinced after that Norway performance that that's the case?
No, not at all. But this is the moment that Thomas Tuchel steps into the fold. This is my entire argument for the last 8 years about to be unwound or rewound in terms of what Tuchel brings into the play. Argentina on paper are not a team that England are guaranteed to beat or would expect to beat. I know that the bookies are tipping them as favourites because they've got to make a favourite in this particular game or they'll be paying even money to everybody, right? Yeah. But the bottom line is that they're looking at this and saying, in my view, it's a game that's 50-50, if not slightly in favour of the Argentinians because they've got Messi in their lineup and they're the World Cup holders. Yeah. Right? And they've got South American sentiment and they're playing in a hotter country, albeit the stadiums are going to be air-conditioned for this game, so England are going to be neutralised in that respect. I think this is the defining moment. I think if Tuchel had lost against Norway, I think he would have been a failure because that would have been a failing. If he beats Argentina, it validates my argument that you bring an elite manager in to do an elite job, and then of course we get to the final, and then we see what happens against France because it will be France. I believe England get in the final, and I believe England will beat Argentina.
Yeah.
What do you want? Good generals or lucky generals? Bit of both, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
But
you're right about luck, Simon, as well.
You need a stroke of it, don't you? Of course you do.
If Sorloth had passed that ball to Haaland,
yeah.
It might have been a different outcome. It's all who decides to do what at a certain moment.
It's a striker by nature as well, isn't he? And I just feel like, if that was a winger potentially, he'd have looked up in it and he'd have seen
You saw
Haaland.
Soloff at Crystal Palace as perhaps the reasons why he didn't do much there.
Yeah. What about semi-final goal scorers then, Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, the top goal scorer tournament, that's been since game one. But what talkSPORT Bet have done, they've done a really interesting market. I do like it. They've wiped the slate clean for the semi-finals. Who will be the top goal scorer across the two games? And they've put all the superstars in this market. So we start at 0. Mbappe is the favourite to get the most goals. Of course he is. But he's 7-2 right now. Then you've got Kane at 9-2 second in the betting, the same as Messi. You can look at Bellingham to get the most goals out of any player. He's at 9-1 across the semi-final as well. So, there's a few players to look at there. In terms of England, obviously, we've got two world-class superstars in Kane and Bellingham, in my opinion. I suppose there's no danger, Simon, that you're over-reliant on your world-class players. I know that narrative.
Everybody is.
Exactly, yeah.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Everybody is reliant on their best players.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing. Obviously, if you lose your best player, and you've got so little in backup that you can't find yourself a solution. We lost Kane against, or we changed it against the Dutch, and Ollie Watkins came on and scored the semi-final winner in the European Championship.
Yeah.
So we've got some depth there. But when you've got your very best players, there's a reason why they're world-class players. There's a reason why they're exceptional players. It's because they're better than everybody else. And so if you've got a team of 11, you win the World Cup, you win the European Championship, you win everything.
It'd be healthy to see somebody else scoring for you, would it not? As I said, Bellingham and Kane, 12 of the 13
But they're
goals.
not putting any forwards on. You want to see. Rashford's weighed in with one when he's got an opportunity, but you haven't put Tony on, you haven't put Watkins on, so they can't weigh in.
Yeah.
So where's the goals going to come from? Elliot Anderson, Declan Rice.
Well, Gordon could weigh in, could he not?
Gordon's okay.
Saka, Madueke.
Sure, but Rashford's weighed in with one. But I got no problem with
Jeff
who scores.
Hurst.
I don't care who scores the goals. I don't care if Jordan Pickford boots one from the end of the pitch and scores a goal from his 18-yard box, as long as we win games.
Yeah, you'll take anything, and I understand that.
Well, we'll take staying in America longer than Scots will every time.
There you go. Studs up. What are we thinking, Ryan?
Yes, Studs Up is the name of talkSPORT Bet's podcast. I haven't done a shameless plug yet, and it's been about 5 weeks. So this is my shameless plug, my first and last, I assure you. It's back today, so it should be on YouTube at about 7:30. It's me, it's Jason Cundy, and it's Rory Jennings. We're reacting to all things about the World Cup, much like the chat you've just had. One of the leading topics today, it's very talkSPORT coded, but is Mbappe on R9's level, or has he surpassed him at this stage? We don't know, but that is going to be one of the topics. It's live today at 7:30 on YouTube.
Good.
So look forward to it. It is exactly that. We go studs up on all the topics.
Ryan, I have to say, it was a matter of time before you got your own show, mate.
Exactly.
It was always going to happen, wasn't it?
And I'm plugging it straight away, aren't I?
Listen, mate, the way it's going, you might end up like Simon, a guest on Pierce's show. Thank you so much. That was a look at the latest odds. Thanks to talkSPORT Bet. 18 plus. Gamble aware. Detarg.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Let's go to Ben. He's Arsenal fan. All right, Ben?
Benny boy.
How you doing? You all right?
I'm all right, Ben. We've got to do this quarter-final 11. Let's get going. Come on.
All right. I've got the Spanish flamenco dance on the wing. Dancing around defence. Their foot tapping all dazzle their defence and send them sideways.
Yeah, the old flamenco dance.
And
Dance
the little maverick on the wing. Little maverick on the wing.
Like a flamenco dance.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Is it flamenco or is it what is it? Flamenco.
Madame won't wait for you.
Flamenco.
It's a flamenco.
Yeah.
Flamenco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know you're iconic now, Ben?
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
He's actually iconic.
Ben appears every single night at the sports bar.
Every night.
Doesn't he?
Without foul.
Yeah. Yeah. Been over a year.
It's been a year. All right, look, the flamenco dancer on the wing.
Yeah.
Okay, dancing about. Bit of Maverick in there. All right, let's go to Dave. He's a Sunderland fan. Dave?
All right, Dave-o.
Hello, boys. How you doing?
I'm all right, Dave. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. So I'm getting in early with a representative from England who I think can be our captain.
Okay.
And it's St. George himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a leader, warrior. He's up for a battle. He'll put the opposition to the sword. And I think we can play him on the wing.
No, we don't feel like a winger, mate.
Killed a dragon.
Like centre half.
Killed a dragon, didn't he?
Talk Sport.
For the headlines at 1 minute past 2, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. We start with some breaking news that Manchester United have announced the signing of André Santos from Chelsea. He joins for a total package of £50 million on a 5-year contract with an optional extra. Now, could the Bellingham-Tuchel fallout bring out England's best? Many believe Jude was fed half a story when he questioned his manager after the Norway game. Simon Jordan says Bellingham should have been given the full facts.
I think that if you put a balanced argument to players, you might get a balanced response.
Yeah.
When you put a one-dimensional argument, which is basically your manager is not good enough, you're likely to get the response that you got.
Their suggestions England may turn the media fallout into a positive to help them fuel them up for Argentina's semi-final. That's live on talkSPORT on Wednesday. Now, Manchester United's pursuit of Aston Villa's Yuri Tielemans has impressed our chief football correspondent Alex Crook.
They walked away, Manchester United, from paying 85 million for Mateus Fernandes. They've paid 85 million now combined for Santos and Tielemans, and I think with the Tielemans signing, that looks a good piece of business.
The club is set to trigger his £35 million Aston Villa release clause. Also on the move might be Luca Digne. We understand PSG are interested and he could be available for as little as £10 million. But some good news for Villa fans. We understand the club's reached a £52 million agreement in principle to sign the Freiburg youngster Yohan Manzambi. And Andoni Iraola has spoken to the press for the first time as Liverpool head coach. He's told the fans they can expect more of what they saw from him at Bournemouth.
I'm looking forward to spend as much time as we can in opposition half, with the ball, without the ball, because I feel we are closer to score than the opposition if it's that the situation.
You can get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Anne Widdecombe's death is now being investigated by counter-terror police and fresh heat health alerts have been issued. More from Toby at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Heat wave outside, oven inside. Stay cool this summer with a free aircon check. Book online or visit your local QuickFit today.
Widely sunny and clear for most of us, warm with strong sunshine but breezy on the south coast.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. 4 minutes past 2 o'clock on Monday, July the 13th. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live, as live can be, on talkSPORT. Looking forward to the two World Cup semi-finals. Tomorrow, France against Spain, 8 o'clock, live on talkSPORT. Then Wednesday, England, Argentina, 8 o'clock, live on talkSPORT. You will not miss a trick. It's time for this.
talkSPORT's Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Simon, let's look ahead to these semi-finals with Village Hotels, and let's do that in the company of Brighton manager, talkSPORT World Cup pundit, and a darn good one at that. Fabian Herzler joins us live. Fabian, how are you?
Hello, you too. Everything good? We started training last week and we continue this week. So when we're out on the pitch, then it's good.
How many players you got back? How many players are available to you?
No, so we have a few national players. They have now a few days off after the World Cup. I think they come back with different experiences. Some are really excited, some are quite disappointed. So they need their time off. And we work here with the rest, and we add some loan players and under 21 players. So it's still good to work with them, but we still miss quite a few players.
Okay, I see Manchester United have signed Andres Santos from Chelsea for £50 million. What do you think, Fabian? Anybody new coming through your door this week or next? Where are you at with it?
I hope so. So a lot of rumors going on. In the end, we always try to select the right players, the right personalities. I think it's a very ongoing market at the moment. A lot of changes happen, so we have to stay alive. But overall, I always emphasize that I'm really happy with my squad. I love working with the players I have here, and I will keep doing this.
It's a different summer, Fabian, is it? You know, when you're trying to do some business in terms of bringing the odd player or two, and yet a major tournament such as the World Cup is going on, it's quite a diversion, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, because it's a strange feeling that you work here with one part of the group and the other part of the group might have holiday or still in the tournament. So, for example, Chase is still from us. He's still with England, and we wish him all the best. And on the other side, you try to get the right signings in. So there are three parts you have to manage, but I think overall it's about football. So the only thing we can control, we as a coaching team, is really focus on the players here, try to develop them as best and as quick as possible, and give the other players the time they need to rest, and then hopefully soon we're all together.
How many players have you got away on international duty? How many players have you got away that haven't been able to just drop back into pre-season?
Yeah, I think with new signings we have about 9 players at the moment that are not with us.
So how does that worry you, Fabian, about how you start the season? Because ultimately, we all know that the pre-season is designed to get players up to a point, but the rest of the season you're ticking them over and making sure that they're at a certain level. But does it worry you about starting the season slightly slowly, or do you just think every club's got a bunch of players away, we all might start a bit slow?
Yeah, definitely everyone has a challenge. That's the first. Second, for me, the most important is that the players come back with a fresh mind. And the third thing is that I'm quite convinced that we built a strong foundation in the last recent month. And when they come back, it's just about repetition, just about emphasizing the same things and get them back on track. So I think these 3 things make it quite easy to handle. And I see it more as opportunity also for the guys who are not involved in the tournament to show them opportunities, to give them game time, to give them minutes as much as possible, and they have a chance to get closer to the guys who are playing.
Fabian, how do you reflect on England's win over Norway? Was it lucky or was it a dogged business-like performance? What do you think?
I think there was definitely a little bit of luck, but I think that Norway was the toughest opponent so far in the tournament for England. They pressed high, they pressed intense. England made it themselves the life quite hard by making easy errors. But a few weeks ago, I just mentioned it here in this show that in the end, it's a tournament. And in the end, it's about winning ugly. It's about coming to the next round. And I think, especially at this stage of the tournament, that's often more important than playing spectacular football.
I mean, Fabian, the Tuchel-Bellingham situation, you'll have heard Simon and I, you'll have heard everybody talking about it. How would you react to one of your players publicly pushing back on one of your assessments?
In the end, there's the coach perspective, and he tries to make the players better. That's the only idea. He tries to get the best out of his players, the best out of his team, and that's by giving them honest feedback. And Shoot, I think he's more like the perspective from a player coming out of a very emotional game, scoring 2 goals. So I think there are 2 perspectives, but in the end, we are in the high performance culture. And high performance culture, I think it should be normal that 2 strong personalities share their opinions, speak up their opinions, and share their game from different perspectives. I think nowadays, I have the feeling everyone has to have the same opinion. But if everyone has the same opinion, there's no discussion, there's no space for feedback, there's no space for improvement. So for me, the most important is 2 perspectives. And both perspectives might be right, but what is most important for me is that those conversations are honest, constructive, and always centered for the success from the country. And I think both of them want the most success for England, and I'm sure they'll reconnect and they will find a good way to manage it.
Right, even publicly, as this has been.
Yeah, for me, in an interview, everyone is asked about their opinion about the game. So why not sharing the perspective of the game? And again, I think Thomas just shared like his opinion about the performance and how he see the games, and he wants the best out of his team. He sees there's still much potential to improve. And Jude, I think we also need to understand him. He just played 120 minutes in a very tough environment with a lot of heat, and he backs the players. He backs, like, I think he said a lot about proud of his teammates. So therefore, I still understand both perspectives, and also it's fine for me sometimes to do it in public. In the end, like I said, I think they're both the same attention. It's success from England, and I'm definitely convinced that they come back together and find a way to go forward.
Just before we leave this topic, Fabian, you've had the pleasure of me interviewing you at Brighton in various locations. But in general terms, post-match, on occasion, do you think certain journalists have an agenda before they start the interview?
Yeah, I think they have an agenda, definitely. But in the end, I think we as head coaches, we have players, the guys who are asked after the game, we have to understand that in the end they need to ask certain questions. In the end, they want to get headlines. They want to do their job as best as possible. And being a journalist means to create the best headline. And therefore, I think we need to respect this. We try to give each other that what we need. And sometimes there are honest answers. And sometimes we have to follow this agenda. It's about us, what we want to answer. It's about us, what we don't want to answer. I think for me, the best way is always to be honest. And in the public, the best way to be constructive, very respectful. And that's a little bit what I always want to have, is like, don't speak like negative about individual players in the publicity. I think this you can do internal. If you speak general, and I think that's what Thomas did, general about the team performance, and it's more about the team. It's not about criticizing players individually. I think this always has to be like behind the door. But when it's about a general perspective of the game, then share it. If it's about like criticizing individual, always behind the door.
I think that's very fair. And I had no agenda when I asked you that question. Here's the thing, Fabian.
That's good.
The final four: England versus Argentina, France versus Spain. Who's in the final?
You asked me, I think, a few weeks ago who will be the favorites, and I mentioned France and Spain, and now they're both in the semi-final. So therefore, regarding these two, I think it would be really, really interesting to see who defines the rhythm of the game. What I mean by this is like Spain wants to control the game. They want to dominate the game. They have to be really careful of the transition moments from France. France, they are also fine sitting in a low block, defending quite compact, and have like with the individual quality one moment after another when they win the ball. So if Spain can handle this well and have like ball possession and create chances, they have a big chance to win. If the France team are able to defend well and exploit the spaces behind the line from Spain, especially after winning the ball, then it's definitely like France will go into the next round. So it's really about who controls the rhythm of the game. If you ask about my opinion, I think that France will do it for the final. And the other game, yeah, this will be really interesting because there are two different strengths. For me, England has more depth, more physicality and flexibility in their game. While Argentina, I expect they have more experience in these kind of tournaments. So it will be a game of small margins. I expect more that it won't be decided after 90 minutes. And it might be that we go into the penalty shootout.
Into the penalty shootout for England, Argentina. Yeah, and are you going to give me a name as to who emerges from that penalty shootout?
Yeah, I'm an England fan, so
okay.
That's why I will go with England.
Fair enough. Listen, Germany edge closer to Jurgen Klopp, we understand. What do you think? What areas need addressing most in the current German national setup?
Clarity, simplicity, and building connections. I think these three things are so important for the new head coach. I hope it will be Jurgen, because one of the best coaches in the world in his generation. And I think these three things, he's quite well in managing these things. He stands always for a clear identity. He has a clear style of play. He's good in connecting with people. He's good in connecting with the whole country. I think that's important in Germany, that we get back this connection towards the fans, because in the end we can see with England, the best example what success as a football team can make with the whole country. I was watching the game Norway against England in a pub, and it's incredible to see how much they enjoy it, seeing their country playing, and I feel a real connection between the team and the country and the supporters, and I think Jürgen will be really good in bringing this connection back in Germany.
Fabian, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you in person fairly soon. Fabian Herzler with us live on the show. Lastly, a quick thank you to all those who entered the Village Hotel competition in talkSPORT. Congratulations to Matt, because you'll be watching the finals this Sunday at a Village Hotel of your choice. Find yours at villagehotels.com.
talkSPORT Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Newcastle's summer exodus is set to reach a crisis point. Sean, you'll have heard this news. Sandro Tonali, Anthony Gordon, of course, already out the door. Club captain and fan favourite Bruno Guimaraes has reportedly informed the hierarchy that he wants to join champions Arsenal, with another star player forcing his way out. Darren Bent raised serious concerns about what this loss could mean for Eddie Howe next season.
Yeah, I do feel for Eddie Howe. I really do, because again, if Bruno leaves tonight, he's obviously gone to Tottenham as well. Isaac, they just haven't been able to kind of recruit the players certainly the quality that they've lost. And you look at what they've bought some of these players for. Isaac, was it 60 million? They're selling for 120. Like tonight, they bought him for a fee. They're selling for more. So clearly, he's improving these players. But at some point, I think if Newcastle do want to go to the next level, they've got. I know it's hard with the PSR and the financial fair play, but if they do want to go to the next level and then stay there, they've got to find a way of holding on to some of these players.
Oh, look at Darren and his floral number. Watching on the smart TV, I like that. Sure. Do you have sympathy for Eddie Howe in this situation? The latest is that Bruno has agreed personal terms with Arsenal, but Newcastle's stance is that he remains not for sale.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's really tough, and the challenge that you have is not just if one of your big players goes at any football club, at any level really. People understand there's a time and a place. When two go, that can make other players a bit itchy and a bit nervy. And then if three go, all of a sudden they go, hang on a minute, who are we bringing in? And I think they're right on that cusp. I don't know their situation at PSR, but I've been through that, obviously, in my time at Everton, so I know how dangerous that can be. But I think losing the players of that quality, I think that's really tough on Eddie, and I think he's done a great job there. So hopefully, I mean, look, you never know on the other side of that. Good people in their recruitment there. They've shown that over the years, so they might have people lined up, don't forget. So these things can twist very quickly when you get a freshness in the camp and a newness and some quality, and all of a sudden it can feel different.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
It's Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Fast Track delivers to you from 30 minutes. First stop, Toolstation. Happy birthday out in the USA to Mark Gahey, who is 26 today, Simon. He was a boxer, was he not? Michael Spinks.
He was until he got flattened by Mike Tyson.
Flattened by Tyson. Former world light heavyweight and heavyweight champion, 70 years old.
Do you know who made that fight?
Today. Who made the fight? Go on.
Your mate, Donald Trump.
Did he? Michael Spinks against Mike Tyson? Well, where was it? Atlantic City?
Yeah, no, I think it was at Caesars, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Okay. These two significant birthdays in the Times birthday section. I wonder if mine will be in there on Thursday, Simon.
Oh, yes. Of course.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. Nice piece of water for Crystal will be nice. I joke. Here we are then. We're getting into the business end of this World Cup. Of course we are. The two semi-finals this week. Infantino, who has jetted around throughout it. The FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, has confirmed the World Cup may go to a 64-team tournament by 2030. Now, the format was 32 teams from 98 to 2022, but for this World Cup, it expanded, as we know, to 48. Infantino, Simon, is saying a 64-team tournament is definitely an issue that will be examined and discussed after this World Cup. Every nation should be allowed to dream of participating in the World Cup. You know, despite the opposition to it, has bigger been better at this one?
I think it's very difficult to be objective if you're sitting inside the media, because you have a different role to feature. You have a different role to function with. If I was sitting as a member of the public, just watching it without having to be involved in discussing it, I'd have a different view. I might look at it and go, well, there's a lot of games here that I'm not particularly interested. But because it's part of the stable diet of what we've been doing for 4 weeks, and we need it for content, and we create all the outcome of the back of it, it doesn't allow you to have the objectivity of someone, oh, that's crap, I'm not watching that game. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it being bigger. I told you 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were in New York, they'll go to 64 teams.
Yeah.
Because the commerciality of it dictates. They might even change the formats. You never know. You might have a similar format to the Champions League. You might have a similar, because I think most people quite like that format. So you might find there's something along those lines that comes into play.
Yeah.
But we're going to get to the point where it's going to be difficult for them to have qualifiers before the World Cup, because everyone's going to be available to go into it. We're talking about 64 teams going in. How many qualifiers are there going to be? How many teams are going to be available to get 64 qualifiers through?
Yeah.
What sort of groups are we talking about? But look, the bottom line is I'm not offended by going to 48 teams. I think it's a wonderful spectacle, the World Cup. I think it's the greatest show on earth, irrespective of the controversies of who wasn't let in and what this was and what that was. I still think it's been run relatively well. I think it's been attended. I mean, the problem is the statistics are there for the decision makers to be able to lean into. They've got 6.5 million tickets sold in America.
Yes.
The biggest one before was America at 3.5 million. They've got broadcasters throwing money at them left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And so, with all that in mind, it leads to one direction, not the man, Harry Styles, but it leads to one area of outcome, which is bigger and bolder.
I mean, he's saying every nation should be allowed to dream of participating in the World Cup. That's regardless of the size of the nation, the scale of it, and maybe where they're at in the football graphic
ecosystem. Yeah,
is he right about that? Do you agree with that premise?
Well, yes, but to some extent, you also have some quality there. And if you've got 64 teams that can hold up their, in boxing terms, hold their hands up and be of a decent level, then why not? The question is, have you got that? I mean, the broadcasting rights around the world and the monetization of it will be what it will be. So if you get 64 teams, you're going to have X amount of games. What, 104 games this time around? How many games would you have in 64? Let's say 150. Let's just say it goes up to 150 games.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about the commerciality of that. But we are talking now, not in football terms, we're talking in money terms, and people won't want to hear that. People that are watching it won't want to hear that it can make more money, because they really want to see it as a tournament that, but we all have. I'm not offended by however many games there are on, because I'll watch what I want and not what I don't.
Yes.
And that's the wonderful thing about choice.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I think that if you provide more countries with a pathway to playing elite international football, you might provide them with better funding to produce elite footballers, which might improve the ecosystem around the globe.
Yeah.
That might then stop all the best teams having all the best players. But this is Wenger's argument about having a tournament every 2 years. So rather than, when you think about it, the tournament every 2 years, rather than have a tournament every 2 years now, you can have one every 4 years, because you've got 64 teams competing in it.
Yeah.
So his argument was, we need a World Cup every 2 years with 32 teams. Well, if you have one every 4 years with 64 teams, you've kind of achieved a similar outcome, haven't you?
I suppose it doesn't really matter how many teams are in it if you manufacture the outcome. And that's what they've done with the seeding system. The top 4 FIFA-ranked countries were kept apart by a new seeding system. Who were they? Argentina, England, France and Spain.
But isn't that seeding? You either agree with the premise of seeding or you don't.
Well, we haven't had it before.
Well, not in football. We've had it in tennis. We have it in other sports.
Yeah.
And so why would football be immune? I mean, we know why they've been seeded. Why do you think they've been seeded? They're the biggest.
Well, for the broadcasters.
Correct.
Yeah.
Biggest audiences.
Yeah.
He who pays the piper calls the tune, right?
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, that's the reason why it comes into play. I'm not sure what I think of it, actually. I'm not sure what I think of it. I never much like seeding. I think you play against who you play against and you beat who you beat, and that's the nature of being the best. But here we are with this seeding perspective, and so the seeding perspective has worked, hasn't it? It would be an interesting one if it hadn't have done. If all the seeds had gone out the window, what they would have made of it then.
Yeah.
But it didn't, and it hasn't. So it's done its job insofar as the job has done. And did it really make any difference? Do we want to see? Does it make any difference to us whether we see Spain and France in the quarterfinals, or the last 16, or the last 32, or whether we see them in the semi-finals?
Well, I
suppose if you want to create an outcome that means some minnow nation wins the World Cup because everyone takes one another out, you might then devalue the World Cup. Because with respect, if I know I'm going for the extremes, but if you saw Cape Verde play one of the lesser countries in the World Cup final, I mean, you wouldn't be sitting there with 100 or 1.5 billion viewers around the world.
Would you not?
I'm not sure you would.
Maybe not. Well, we nearly saw Norway.
I realise that you'd be desperately getting opportunities. Maybe Scotland, if you seed something or another, Scotland might get somewhere.
Somewhere, yes. If we can throw in some kind of a plan that gets them out of the group.
Maybe seed Scotland not to play anyone.
Yeah, probably. But putting them in separate quadrants of the draw so they couldn't meet before the semi-finals has worked. And here we are. I have to say, they've got it right with two mouth-watering semi-finals.
But what is the purpose? Again, what is the purpose of FIFA rankings then? If we are going to extol the virtues of FIFA rankings, then what are the rankings for? Yeah. Everyone gets a fair crack to build their rankings. Everyone gets a fair opportunity to advance themselves into a position where their rankings are higher, so they get better outcomes as a result of it. Yeah. So with that in mind, the very nature of rankings leads to seeding, and seeding leads to the outcome we've got now. Yeah. But we've got the best 4 teams. Probably, I mean, not that England's performance has been particularly inspiring, but notwithstanding it, they are where they are. They're in the semi-final, and every year a tournament comes along now. England, from that barren period in '74 where we didn't qualify under Alf Ramsey, in '78 where we didn't qualify under Ron Greenwood, '82 we got ourselves together again a little bit, didn't we? Yeah. But notwithstanding that, we have got ourselves into a situation. '94 we didn't qualify under Graham Taylor. But we're now back into tournaments, England, not Scots, obviously, back into tournaments and getting deep into tournaments. Yeah. It would just be nice, wouldn't it be nice to sit there and watch an England side really play well? And really play well, like that 20-minute spell. Because the fans are just sitting there waiting to be excited. They're excited by achievement, but they'd be elated and exhilarated by achievement and football.
If you have a crap performance in the final and you win it, you're not going to complain.
Of course not.
Of course you're not.
No, we'll take that. But what I'm saying is the perfect storm. And that's why I wonder why we are unable to produce an England team. Because it seems to me we are still stuck with some of the malaises that Southgate had, which is we don't move the ball around quickly. We can't break down teams that bank up. And we seem to find ourselves in situations where we make a 4-out play out of getting past teams that we should beat quite convincingly.
So maybe it wasn't Gareth's fault at all?
Well, we're going to see. Yeah. No, it's never been Gareth's fault. It's never been Gareth's fault. But Gareth didn't take the opportunities that were presented. Right. And I believe that if you stuck Thomas Tuchel against Croatia, if you stuck him in against the French, if you stuck him in against the Italians, that we would have got a better outcome on the Southgate. But we're going to find out on Wednesday, aren't we?
Find out on Wednesday, aren't we? We're going to find out on Wednesday.
I hope to be right.
Aren't we? Find out.
We're going to find out on Wednesday, yeah.
Jim White, Simon Jordan, live in partnership with Tool Station. Fast Track delivers to you from 30 minutes. First stop, Tool Station. In the world of cricket, it's all changed again. Why is that? I mean, as recently as 2024, Bruno Touzazol, he told everybody who cared to listen what he wanted to achieve at Newcastle.
Never said that I would like to leave. Since I signed for the club, I always said I want to put my name in the club history, and nothing changed. Nothing changed from me. It is keeping going. I still want to win some trophy for me. When I signed for the club, I said I want to play Champions League, and everyone said that I was crazy, and we got it. Now I wanna be in Champions League again. I wanna win something for the club. I think the fans deserve. We are worked so hard to get it, so this is still my dream.
And then a year later, Simon, they win the Carabao Cup, and Bruno says, "This is my second home. We're making history. Someday, when I leave this club, I want the fans to sing my name the way they do Alan Shearer." I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Well, look, first and foremost, ask yourself the question, why are these players suddenly all deserting the sinking ship? It's not a sinking ship, but it doesn't appear to be a particularly ambitious one. It doesn't appear to have an ownership model that everyone thought was going to change the whole direction of football. Oh my God, we've just sold to a nation state, one of the richest nation states, and look what they're going to do to football. But they haven't done anything. They're going to buy everybody. They're going to buy Ronaldo. They're going to buy Messi. They're going to have this player here, that player, this player, you know, and they haven't. Yeah. They bought a bunch of players that to some extent they've gone and made better. And these players are now doing what every player does, which is go, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh, Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh, Real Madrid. And that's what Newcastle have found themselves in a position of doing. So ask yourself the question, despite the vilification of a player that 2 years ago said he wanted to stay, nothing lasts forever. He's done his 2 years. He is entitled to leave. How he leaves is the key component part of this. But also, why? Why are Newcastle now a place where people want to leave from?
Yeah.
And that's the problem Eddie Howe's got. That's the problem that Matey Boy that says that to everyone they're going to win the league by 2030.
Yeah.
Those are the challenges that they've got.
Iconic. There's no other word. An 18-karat gold trophy that owns the world, and it waits. It waits for 4 years. It's 1971, and FIFA need a new trophy to replace the Jules Rimet, so they launch a worldwide design competition. And in his studio in Milan, 50-year-old sculptor Silvio Gazzaniga immediately gets to work. But instead of sending FIFA a picture, he goes further and makes a prototype they can hold. It works. FIFA choose his design over 52 others, and perhaps the most beautiful piece of silverware or goldenware enters the beautiful game. Let's let the artist himself describe it. Gazzaniga said the idea was to create something symbolising exertion, dynamism, and the jubilation of an athlete in the moment of victory, with all the joy that contains. The malachite rings in the base fitted the sculpture well because it's green like a football field, and it's also a precious stone. The first captain to lift the trophy was Franz Beckenbauer in 1974, and of course, it's only the greatest who get their hands on it. Zoff, Matthias paved the way for the modern-day heroes who dreamt of lifting Gazzaniga's masterpiece. But there was something about this man holding it that seemed to deliver everything the sculptor had imagined. Were I to ever redo it, the artist once said, I wouldn't change a thing.
Two World Cup semi-finals to look forward to. England, Argentina, of course, the second of those. France, Spain, the first. Get back to the World Cup. In the world of cricket, Brendan McCullum has been sacked as England's Test coach with immediate effect. The decision was made following the 2-1 Test series defeat by New Zealand, which ended with Captain Ben Stokes retiring. Now, 4 months ago, the ECB held a review into England's poor Ashes defeat amidst allegations of a drinking culture. But for Stokes, Rob Key and McCullum were all entrusted to continue with a small reset in approach. But now it's all changed. McCullum will continue nonetheless to lead both white ball teams, but the leading candidate to replace him as Test captain is former England coach Andy Flower. Simon, you love your cricket. We'll get to that in a second. Author and huge cricket fan, Lord Jeffrey Archer, joins us live on the show. Lord Archer, it's been some time. Thank you so much for being with us.
Delighted.
Good to speak to you. McCullum sacked. Do you think, is it your belief the ECB have dragged their feet over this decision?
Yes, they have. He should have gone after the Test debacle. That would have given us more time to prepare for the next Ashes series, which is at home and we mustn't lose. One of the problems for McCullum, and he turned out in his first 2 years to be an outstanding coach, and baseball took off. We now have too many Test matches which are over in 3 days. When I was a child, Test matches went on for 5 days and remained exciting for 5 days. And that has changed. We've got to, and the Australians worked that out. The Indians worked that out. They both beat us by working it out. You don't have to rush to 300 on the first day. You can be 220 for 3 and you'll be a lot better off.
But why is that, Jeffrey? Why is that a problem, that phenomenon? Is it a phenomenon that's unique to the England team? Because I think it's across all of cricket. All the nations are batting 5-day tests much quicker now.
Yes, you're quite right. It is universal. And it is the problem that people want to be entertained very quickly nowadays. They want something in half an hour, and certainly in a day. Test cricket will die if that goes on. I'm a 5-day man.
But Jeffrey, that's a different argument about the second of McCullum, because McCullum, up until the point of the Test series, and I look at the Test series going into Australia with optimism, which was obviously replaced with trepidation, and also I felt that Ben Stokes saying things like a bunch of has-beens saying things about the England tour were probably the flawed perspective. But they went into this series with McCullum in relatively good fettle. They come out of the Australian series with everybody in poor fettle. Is it your position that, irrespective of what he'd done previously, that his currency had just gone and he should have been removed after the Australian, after the last Ashes?
Yes, it is. I think he's the ideal man for 2020 and one-day matches. That suits baseball completely, and he's a brilliant coach. But I'd much rather have Andy Flower there, Andy Flower is an old-fashioned Test cricketer, and he's a very cool, calm guy. And he had a brilliant record before they sacked him. He'd won 3 Ashes series. He'd beaten the Indians in India. I'd like him back, please. I hope he's available, because he's also been in charge of a team in India who've now won the IPL. So we know he's a class act. Please come back.
Were you disappointed the way it ended for Stokes, Lord Archer?
Oh, tragic. He is a giant. He is a killer. He is a winner. And more important, he's a leader. And if we're going to have a Test match captain, we needed a
I just lost Lord Archer's line there. We'll get him back. Stokes is a leader, and I think he'll be a miss there, Simon. One thing Stokes is, he could lead, but maybe not, as time has shown us, lead by example.
Well, he's a leader by performance, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of his capabilities, less so in the recent years in his bowling, but certainly in his batting. But yeah, he was, to me, a very interesting character, but I still think he was ill-advised. I think that they gave people a lot of opportunity. It's interesting that Jeffrey's talking about bringing Andy Flower back and the successes of his Australian tours, but they also, in his last Test series, got beat 5-0 by the Australians. So he got off the back of that, he lost his job. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
We always hark for something we don't have. Andy Flowers must have reinvented himself, because he went out the door rather unceremoniously 12 years ago, whenever it was. And we're harking back for him, and maybe because of the IPO experiences or whatever.
I think Lord Archer is back with us. Lord Archer, we were talking about the loss of Stokes.
I heard what you were talking about, and I don't agree with you too.
Go on, then. Correct us, Jeffrey.
I think he's, to be honest, I think Mr. Flower is more mature. I think he's one of the best coaches in the world. He's also got the experience. And if you don't have him, I'm not sure who you do have. But may I just say to the two of you, because you both love your cricket, we also need a captain. I'm very sorry that Stokes has gone. We need a leader as well as a coach. It's a combined job. If you only have one and not the other, you're in trouble.
Yes. Stokes, the nature of Stokes' leadership came into question, Lord Archer, didn't it? Do you accept that about upholding standards?
Oh, well, if you have, look, take away the fact that he was at a pub. I wasn't interested in that because he clearly, they showed he was not involved, full stop. But if you have a leader like that who leads from the front, who leads with his heart, take it and be thankful for it. I'm very sorry he's gone. I'm not sure we've got someone to replace him. And a captain is don't kid yourself. Michael Brealey.
I was going to say Brealey. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Leadership actually matters.
Well, I was going to say that to you, Jeffrey. That's exactly what I was going to say. What kind of leader do you think that we need? Because we had Mike Brealey, who was a mediocre batsman, notwithstanding that, an excellent captain who's written brilliant books that probably you've read, and I know I have. But
yes,
what kind of captain do we look like we have amongst our midst of potential candidates?
Do we have enough time for me to tell a little story?
Go on in, Jeffrey.
I was speaking at the 100th anniversary of Leonard Hutton with Mike Brealey. And I said I would have captained England if I could only bat, bowl or field. And a man in the audience said, lad, it never worried Brealey. I'm not sure we can have a Mike Brealey today.
No.
You make the point that he was an average batsman. I'm not sure we can live with that. I think we have to have someone the rest of the team look up to and respect. And that's going to be a very tough job with those bloody Australians about to land on our shores.
So finally, your ideal replacement for McCullum would be Flower, would it?
Yes, I think Andy Flower is the ideal man at the moment, and I'd be on the phone to him right now.
Excellent. Well, let's hope someone from the ECB is listening. Lord Archer, you're going to watch the World Cup semi-final, England-Argentina?
You bet. I'm so old. I'm 86. I'm so old that I remember when we won the World Cup in 1966. You two weren't even alive.
I'm afraid I was.
Jim was.
I was, and I watched it with you. Well, not with you, but I watched as the country watched it. Lord Archer, thank you very much indeed. Remarkable. He's as passionate as always about his cricket, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I remember doing a television series with Jeffrey 19 years ago now. We did an ITV series called Fortune Millionaire Giveaway, and it was just like that in the flesh. Him and Duncan Bannatyne didn't get on, I can assure you.
Oh, yeah.
I've told you that story, haven't I?
Yes, indeed. Lord Archer, thank you for being with us. The ECB have a few big decisions to make. Let's hope they get them right. We're at 2:45 this Monday afternoon.
That 30-year feud reignited between Roy Keane and Alfie Haaland. So Haaland's dad was obviously at the game, obviously unhappy with how things played out between Norway and England, whether it's his son being penalised for pushing Elliot Anderson in the box and that goal being ruled out, whether it's the ball hitting the spider cam for England's first. So he's really frustrated, and he takes to X to sarcastically congratulate Bellingham and the referee, claimed Norway were robbed by the French referee Clement Turpin. In response, on his podcast, Roy Keane decides to stick the knife in even further by saying that alcohol could have impacted Alfie Haaland's judgment on proceedings because, quote, he always seems to be drinking alcohol at the matches. He added, if you're having a drink, then you're seeing the game differently. No love lost between them. A quick reminder, back in 1997, Roy Keane tore his ACL trying to tackle Haaland when he was playing for City. 4 years later, the two clashed again when Keane issued a premeditated sort of knee-high tackle on Haaland. So, yeah, absolute handbag still 30 years later, Gabs.
Yeah, Roy's a bitter guy, though. Like I said before, I had him at Villa. But at least Haaland hasn't walked out his country at a World Cup.
Oh.
Drop the mic.
Oh.
Where's my water?
Wow. Well, make sure it's not alcohol.
Whatever.
See things a bit differently.
Glass houses.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if grown men need to be behaving like that when they get an opportunity.
Yeah, but I feel like he's going to be like that.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. For all your trade or DIY projects, first stop Toolstation. Simon, I was saying to you in the break there how sad was at the news over the weekend about the passing of Dermot Murnaghan.
Yeah, only 68. Yeah.
Newsreader, yeah.
Sam Neill passed as well, didn't he? The actor who was in Jurassic Park, 78.
Sam Neill. As well as all that, former Chelsea Leeds United owner Ken Bates died at the age of 94. I mean, he was a controversial figure, was Ken Bates. I remember doing a number of interviews with him, and by God, you knew where you stood at the end of it. Yeah. I must admit, I found him direct, honest, right to the point to deal with. Years ago when he went to Leeds United as owner, he wasn't the most popular individual in that part of the world. No. And he, for some reason, sent me a Leeds United talk once and said, why don't you go back to Scotland and take Sean Connery with you? Which was interesting. How did you find him, Bates? I mean, as we know, he bought Chelsea for £1 in 1982 when they were in the old second division. Right. And he took on the debts of £1.5 million. He eventually sold the club to Abramovich in 2003 in a deal worth £140 million. But you would have direct dealings with Ken.
Yeah, I did. I tried to take John Terry on loan. Well, very young John Terry, and I got told to F off and grow up and don't waste his time. Was the actual... I think the words were a little bit more expansive than that, in that sort of neighbourhood.
Yeah.
And I laughed. And I laughed a lot about things that Ken did. I saw him in a couple of meetings because he didn't muck about. I could prefer that. He wasn't pleasant at times. Yeah. He was to the point, but so am I at times. I mean, a couple of times when we played Leeds in the cup, he was there and he came and pinched my cheek and said, "You and I are cut from the same cloth." And I was like, "No, I'm bleeding or not, Ken. Cut from any cloth that you're cut from." But I quite like characters. The world is so full of them, so few of them.
Yes.
That I like to see them when they are about. And when you look back on his past, him and Ron Nodes, who saw him Palace, were cut from the same cloth a little bit, making the best opportunities for themselves via their football clubs.
Yeah.
And I actually quite amused by the nature of putting electric fences up, because I tell you what, if you want people to stop doing something, then mean it, right? And Batesy meant it.
Well, amused is one word. I mean, we'll put some context on that, actually, because it didn't go without controversy. As you say, Simon, in the mid-80s, he wanted to deal with the threat of pitch invasions at Stamford Bridge by erecting an electric fence around the pitch's perimeter.
Him, wouldn't
it? This is how he explained that very notion to ITN at the time.
Today, workmen had all but completed the installation of the 12-volt wire fence. It's cost £700 to put up, and even without the power on, it's clear the 12-foot-high barriers are hard to overcome. Chelsea's chairman Ken Bates says if the GLC seek an injunction to stop football at Stamford Bridge, he'll fight them in the courts. The GLC argue the scheme is in breach of the Safety of Sports Grounds Act, so the fence needs their special consent. Mr Bates insists he's complied with all the accepted practices.
I don't really see what the fuss is about, quite frankly, because if you've just come here to watch a game, you sit in your seat, you watch the game, you have no problem, it doesn't affect you at all. The only person it's going to affect is somebody who is a determined troublemaker. The local police have already indicated that if they do catch anybody, they'll hit them with, they'll throw the book at them under the Section 5 of the Public Order Act, which carries a maximum penalty of 6 months and or £1,000 fine. So if anybody's daft enough to do it and they want a holiday at the government's expense, they should try.
I mean, even in that report, if you're watching on YouTube, Bates ended up doing a piece to camera on ITN. The plan was only stopped, Simon, after the local council refused permission to turn the electricity on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he almost got what he wanted.
Well, you were also dealing with extreme football hooliganism back in the day. This is a time when English football was so valueless they didn't even have a television contract. Back in the mid-80s, early 80s, television considered football to be such a toxic environment. Margaret Thatcher hated football. The government vilified it. The stadiums were empty. Football was going bust. And hooligans were running around causing mayhem, throwing darts at one another. You remember seeing those scenes years ago with Millwall fans having a fight with Luton fans and ripping seats out and flinging it at one another. So there was a real issue around football hooliganism, and Batesy went to the extreme. And went to the end game. So right, you want to behave this way, you can behave this way.
Yeah.
You want to behave like animals, I'll treat you like animals, I think was one of the things he said. I remember Ken when he was part of the committee that was going to build Wembley. I tell you what, if Batesy hadn't been booted off that committee, they wouldn't have built it for 750 million quid. It'd be done far more economically than what they ended up doing. That's because you've got the government involved.
Yeah.
Once you get the government involved, then it becomes a ridiculous fool's errand. But he was a strong character. A lot of guys, that generation of football club owners, there was a little bit before him was Bob Lord at Burnley, who was a very extreme character, who was the head of the local town, but he had some very strong views and very unpalatable ones as well about who ran the game from which particular section of society. And you see these sort of characters that are cut out of the granite of English culture.
Yeah.
And Batesy was an opportunist. Ron Nodes was the same. You know, their football clubs, to some extent, they live vicariously through their football clubs. But when you read Ken Bates' programme notes, I mean, I used to write programme notes basically to say exactly what I felt. And people would say to me, you just like Ken Bates. And I used to be most offended by it. And as I've gotten older, I look at it and think, well, actually, there is something to be said for saying what you mean and meaning what you say.
Yeah.
And Batesy did well out of Chelsea, and Chelsea did well out of him. When he went to Leeds, he pre-packed them in out of administration 3 or 4 times, trying to create a better outcome for himself. But Leeds was a basket case at that time. So it wasn't just Bates and whoever else took it after him. It was a basket case because of its experiences to the back end of Peter Risdale's tenure, albeit Peter is adamant it's not his fault, and I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
When they got relegated, Leeds were in terrible trouble.
Yeah. I mean, selling the club as he did to Abramovich in 2003, I mean, that was hugely consequential.
Well, he's responsible to some extent for the whole direction, the whole direction of travel changing. Chelsea coming in, breaking up the monopoly of what Man United and Arsenal were doing. Jack Walker had set the blueprint to show you that football could buy trophies.
Yeah,
it could be bought. Legacy football clubs didn't have a right to win the league. They could be bought, and Blackburn Rovers proved it.
Yeah.
So in comes Abramovich and proved it 10 times over. And of course, the famous story of them flying over and wanting to look at Tottenham and missing out the opportunity because Daniel Levy wasn't susceptible to a bid at that particular time.
Yeah.
And here you are with Chelsea and the direction of travel that changed, the Premier League changed. It's the first or probably the second or third pillar of how football has changed across the globe as a result of Abramovich coming into domestic football and elevating it to such a level.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony of it is that Jack Walker spent less on Blackburn Rovers than I spent on Palace, yet he bought the Premier League with it. It's an interesting time.
I mean, when you say it like that,
but Abramovich just changed the direction. And Ken Bates, there was a rumor at the time that Chelsea were teetering right on the financial precipice, right in to some extent the same way that Liverpool were when Hicks and Gillette were making a Horlicks of it, and Fenway Group came in because they were minutes away from going into administration. Liverpool, and Chelsea weren't in a great position.
Do you think Ken realised for a moment, Simon?
He realised there's a big check in it for him.
Who he was? Yeah, was he selling just for the money? Or was he selling also knowing this character might change everything upside down for this football club and the Premier League?
I think the opportunity was there. I think Ken how long had he had it? 20 odd years.
Yeah.
It'd been a struggle for him.
Yes.
I mean, obviously they weren't in rude health, but they'd been a team that were winning things. You know, he'd taken the vision of bringing Glenn Hoddle back. He'd brought Ruud Gullit back into the equation.
Yeah.
You got Ranieri managing the side. Chelsea weren't just not dead on their feet, but Abramovich changed the whole direction. And could you say that Batesy had the vision? Well, if the guy hadn't been prepared to meet the price that Ken wanted and the outcomes that Ken wanted from it, which included the ones for himself, he wouldn't have sold it to him.
In my early days at talkSPORT, it's just reminded me to have a look at it. One of the text messages, I asked Ken Bates to join us on air here at talkSPORT, some subject or another. And I messaged him afterwards. Thank you so much for joining us, Ken. You were great. Really, ? Go back to Scotland. I mean, he loved his own. He had a great sense of humour, but you had to know where he was going with it.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, literally,
I liked him.
Literally, the last time I saw Ken in the flesh was we played Leeds, and neither one of us got off our backside to say hello to one another. I wasn't going to move, and Ken wasn't going to move. And eventually he did come up. But that's the moment I told you when he came and pinched my cheek and said, "You're just like me," which I didn't take kindness to.
That was the news. Sad news over the weekend.
94 is not bad, though, is it?
That's
94.
not bad, isn't it? Ken Bates had died at the age of 94. We're coming up to 3 o'clock.
British sensation Arthur Ferry shocked the world, becoming just the second ever wildcard to make a Wimbledon semi-final. He is with us now live in the studio. Good morning to you, Arthur.
Good morning, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Amazing.
How's life, mate? How's it all going?
It's been good. It's been busy, that's for sure, past few days. But yeah, it's going to be nice to have a bit of time off and just relax, process everything.
I was going to ask you straight away, like, what have you learnt from your experience at Wimbledon? Because, like I spoke to you before we come on, I was watching the Dimitrov win. And honestly, mate, the tennis that you was playing is unbelievable. Everyone talking about it. Everyone that's English so proud of you. But what were your experiences and what have you learnt from your time at Wimbledon?
Yeah, it was the first time that I, caught the general public's eye, and I was playing in front of a lot of people. So, getting used to that was good. I had 2 weeks and six matches to kind of get used to it progressively. So, yeah, that was good, and going to use that experience to moving forward as well.
What was it like after every round you're getting past, and then you could hear people saying, "I'm not sure we can get past that, wild card. I'm not sure we can beat him. I'm sure we beat him." Did you hear those people saying those things? That spur you on a little bit?
Yeah, I was the outsider for most of those matches that I played. But yeah, I was just kept believing in myself. I knew that I could beat those players, and just brought that self-belief on.
Did you feel the pressure, Arthur? Because even here at talkSPORT, you know what we're like. We jump on it, right? And we jump on it hard. Did that outside noise filter through at any point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, professional sportsmen, there's always some pressure associated to it. But no, just tried to keep the distractions out and just focus on myself.
Sport.
For the headlines at 3:01, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. Brighton's Fabian Hertzler has told this programme it's normal for coaches and players to have differing opinions on games. He's weighed in on the Bellingham-Tuchel debate and understands that it's a journalist's job to make headlines.
We need to respect this, and we try to give each other that what we need. And sometimes there are honest answers, and sometimes we have to follow this agenda. It's about us, what we want to answer. It's about us, what we don't want to answer. I think for me, the best way is always to be honest.
He says it's right that Tuchel kept individual criticism out of the conversation. A few transfer lines for you, starting with Manchester United, who've confirmed Andre Santos on a 5-year deal from Chelsea. That's a £50 million package. It's also our understanding that the club is moving for Aston Villa's Yuri Tielemans.
There's been a lot of names attached to Manchester United in that midfield position. Yuri Tielemans is one the club have managed to keep under wraps, seemingly right until it's almost a done deal. My colleague Ben Jacobs was reporting earlier, 35 million release clause in Tielemans' contract, so it looks a pretty straightforward one to do.
That was talkSPORT's Alex Crook. Luca Digne could also be on his way out of Villa with a potential £10 million move to PSG on the cards. We understand actually in the last few months that a deal hasn't been agreed in principle. And we understand that Chelsea feel the goalposts have been moved as they continue talks for Rayo Vallecano's Pep Chavaria. They met the original valuation of €15 million, but now been told that Vallecano want more. Andoni Iraola's tempering expectations ahead of his first season in the Liverpool dugout. He says the job's magic, but the stumbling blocks in the way of immediate success. And Slaven Bilic is back in management. He's been named as the new Croatia head coach. Your latest at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Anne Widdecombe's death is now being treated as a potential terrorist act, and fresh heat warnings have been issued in England. Toby has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Widely sunny and clear for most of us, warm with strong sunshine, but breezy on the south coast.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. 3 minutes past 3 o'clock on Monday, July the 13th. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on YouTube as well, just as we're throughout our time in New York. The very same here, of course, in the UK. And now we're down to 4. It is the World Cup semi-finals. France, Spain, tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT, 8 o'clock for that. Same time on Wednesday, England against Argentina, live on talkSPORT. So much to come. So much over the weekend as well, Simon, was there not? The curtain came down on Wimbledon 2026. And now the question being asked by those in the know in the world of tennis, can anyone stop Sinner? Yannick Sinner beat Alexander Zverev to win back-to-back Wimbledon men's singles titles. You think Alcaraz, do you? Italy's Sinner gradually took control in this one and won 6-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-4. I know you have a lot, when it, of course, of info, of opinion when it comes to tennis. So let's combine that with a man who was formerly the British #1 and he's a host of Off Court podcast. Greg Rosetsky joins us live on the show. Greg, good afternoon. What did you think when the two of them lined up then for this final? Did you think Sinner or did you think, yeah, Zverev? Zverev can do it.
Well, I thought Zverev had a chance, but from the start of the tournament, I was going for Sinner from day one. The only person I thought could stop him was maybe Novak Djokovic, but unfortunately, Djokovic had the longest quarterfinals in men's history, 5 hours, 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, after Sinner won the third set, he went from strength to strength, dominated the last 2 sets, and is pulling away from everybody at the moment. But for Sasha Zverev, he'd never been past the 4th round to make his first Wimbledon final after winning the French Open. He's kind of joined that party. But if anybody's going to beat Jannik Sinner, I think it's Carlos Alcaraz, who are desperate to have back in the game.
Yes, yeah, and Alcaraz was the name you were whispering to me there.
Absolutely. I mean, they're both wonderful players. I mean, I remember seeing Sinner 5, 6, 7 years ago as a much younger player, and looking at him thinking, what is this I'm looking at? And here he is now. I mean, the performance in that final, because Zverev in the first set was outstanding, and the serving was just outstanding. I mean, these people, they didn't lose, no one broke a serve in the first 2 sets. But the level that Sinner goes to mentally, and the way he changes his game, the way he starts hitting the ball differently and took the spin off the ball and started hitting it harder. You could hear the sound of his racket. Andre Agassi was talking about yesterday during the course of the game about, can you hear the sound? He was talking to Todd Woodbridge, wouldn't he, Greg, about the sound of the way that he was hitting the ball when he really started to take it to Zverev in the second set into the tiebreaker.
No question about it. I'd say the sound of the ball is quite incredible from Sinner, but also we started at 4 o'clock. So after 2 hours, it gets to about 6:15. The temperature drops a little bit. That just buys Sinner a little bit more time. And Sinner I describe as Djokovic 2.0. He just does everything harder and quicker than Djokovic did at his peak.
Wow. I was going to say to you, Greg, how special is Sinner?
Yeah, Sinner's just mentally the strongest guy out there because his confidence was low this year. Everybody was saying, okay, Sinner has a chance to do the calendar slam. He loses to Djokovic in 5 sets, was the better player, just didn't win the big points. Then he has heat stroke in Paris, and everybody's thinking, okay, is he going to be able to manage the heat at Wimbledon? Comes back into Wimbledon. Zverev, as Simon said, was on fire the first 2 sets. It was almost unreturnable, his serve. He was brilliant. But Sinner's mentality is there's never a dip. You never get a moment where you think, okay, the guy's going to lose concentration. Lots of love 30 games. He came back and held his serve. Didn't get broken in the finals once. That is just mental fortitude. And we talked about his serve and return numbers. They're just second to none. There's nobody in the history of our sport who's ever led those 2 categories. And he did so in 2025, and he's doing so in 2026.
Absolutely. Do you think that... Sinner, I mean, Djokovic obviously played that long quarter-final. I think he played a long semi-final against Del Potro years and years ago, didn't he? A similar sort of length, and he was exhausted for the final against Murray. Do you think by playing that long semi-final, he presented less of a challenge to Sinner, which he obviously did, but that also presented more of an opportunity for Sinner to be much fresher in the final, albeit Zverev beat Arthur Ferry in straight sets?
Well, I think if you look at both men's route to the finals, the only real test for him was in the opening where he won 5 sets against Kekmanovic. From there on in, he didn't drop a set until the finals. Zverev also was on a brilliant run, only losing 2 sets in totals to make the finals. So both men were fresh, but I think for Sinner, that took a lot of pressure off him because he knew Djokovic at 39 years of age was not going to recover after that 5-hour 15 match with Auger-Aliassime. So from the semis onwards, we saw the old Sinner, the guy who was dominating the sport all of last year with Alcaraz. So he's back. Watch out. I'll be very surprised if anybody touches him at the US Open.
This morning, Greg, in the studio, I was chatting to young Arthur Ferry, who was in, and he was on the last part of the breakfast show. Very, very impressive young man, but very impressive on the court as well. And we saw what he did. Is it one and done for him? Or is he a future finalist or indeed a future winner?
Well, I don't know about a winner, but I think he's going to have a very, very good career. Richard Krajicek, the 96 champion who was in the Royal Box, said he's got the mentality of a top 10 player. If you get to the top 10 in the world in anything, you've had a brilliant career. To win Wimbledon or to win a major is another step. And you look at Sinner, you look at Alcaraz, you look at Zverev, those guys are in a little bit of a different league than him. But what he's done this year is incredible. 114 in the world. As a wild card, gets all the way to the semifinals. No British man or woman has ever done that before as a wild card. And the only reason it's taken him so long is because of all the injuries he's had. You know, he had that bruised elbow where he could barely serve last year, and then he's gone from strength to strength. I expect him to continue to be the British #1, to be in the top 20 by the end of the year. He's going to be able to make quarters, semis of majors. Can he win one? That's a different sort of gravy because you got to get through Sinner, Djokovic, Zverev, the Canadian boy Auger-Aliassime. So, you know, I think he's going to have a great career. I think he's going to continue on the trend, but to win one is very difficult.
See, I was going to ask you that, Greg, about Jack Draper, because obviously Jack Draper and his progress has been massively hindered and hampered over the years by injury. Here we got Ferry being hampered by injury, which might tell you a common denominator. But do you think he's going to eclipse what Jack's capable of doing?
Well, I think Jack has more weapons.
Yeah.
So Jack was in that mix right now talking about, Sinner, Alcaraz. He'd beaten Carlos Alcaraz on 2 occasions already. He pushed Djokovic at Wimbledon. He beat Novak this year in Indian Wells with almost no preparation. For me, Jack, the main problem is, can he get healthy? He's had periods where he's had 6 to 9 months off, multiple occasions. From my point of view, Jack's a top 5 player. To get top 10 for Ferry, I think Ferry's going to be between 6 and 10 maxing out. Jack, if he gets healthy, gets in the mix. But that is the big question mark. And hopefully Andy Murray can spend a lot of time with him, get the right team, get him healthy, and get him back to where he needs to be.
We've got to ask you about Djokovic, Greg. He's been trying to win a record-breaking 25th Grand Slam singles title, the most of any man, any woman, for the last 2 years. So out he goes on Friday in the semi-final, defeat by Sinner. How's he going to do going forward? Before you answer that, this was Djokovic post-match.
As people around me are telling me, able to play at such a high level and push the youngsters to the limit for Grand Slam titles, which is true. But at the same time, I always have the highest expectations for myself, and so yeah, it's kind of that internal battle really of what I've been through for the 20+ years of my career. What the goals were, always the expectations, and then trying to also kind of like balance it out and really be a little bit more humble in that sense.
What do you think, Greg? Is he ever going to get 25?
If you asked me to bet my house on it, I'd say no. I thought this was his really last shot, was to win this Wimbledon here. No Alcaraz this year. Sinner had heat problems, but it really hurt him, that match in the quarterfinals where he got pushed. And you got to think you've got to beat Sinner, Alcaraz when he's back, now Zverev, now Auger-Aliassime. But what he's doing at 39 years of age, there's never been a male tennis player play as good as he has. And Jimmy Connors, one of the greats who were shocked at 1991 when he got to the semis of the US Open. We said unbelievable stuff. Djokovic is still consistently making slam finals, semis. I think that's his limit, is getting to a final, because you're going to have to beat 2 guys back to back. I talked about it on my podcast. I think it's the last one. I'd be very happy to eat my words if the GOAT does get another 25th slam, but it's very highly unlikely.
Wow, you go with that, Simon?
Yeah, if he's going to win any of them, Greg, I think it would likely be the Australian. I don't know what you think.
Well, I think the Australian Open, what they can do is they protect the players. So the big names play at night, and that is a huge bonus because you miss out on all the heat because of the night sessions. This year, he was close to it. So imagine if Alcaraz was injured. He beat Sinner in the semis, but then he had to face Alcaraz in the finals. So he needs some sort of luck. And also in the quarters, Musetti defaulted. So he had 2.5 days rest with no tennis. I don't know about you, Simon, but when you get to your 30s, late 30s, 40s, the body just doesn't bounce back when you give someone 15 years and they're in their 20s. Unfortunately, no matter how great you are with your preparation, diet, nutrition, you can't substitute somebody in between. So that's the problem. The mind is there, but the physicality, I don't think, can manage it at the latter stages of a major.
Greg, Henry Patton became the first British player to win 2 men's doubles titles at Wimbledon since World War II. He claims the authorities see the doubles game as, quotes, a pain in the backside. He didn't say backside. He said something a bit more juicy than that. Here's the thing. Why does nobody care about the doubles?
Well, I think the main problem is because they have to be marketed better. The biggest team in the world was the Bryan brothers, who did a great job with the corporates. You had a lefty, righty. Both guys could have played singles. And if you look at the past generation, you used to have McEnroe, Fleming. McEnroe was #1 in the world. Yeah. You had Jared Edberg, world #1, playing doubles at the end of season finals. So you need the big names to play, or you need some marketing guru to come in and get the public to know them. Because you walk to anybody in the street and you say, name me the #1 doubles player in the world, in the men's and the women's, and nobody will be able to answer that question. And that's the problem they have. They have to be able to get the recognition. The ATP has just cut their prize money from 20% to 10%. So there's jobs being lost right now. And most tournament directors, they won't say it publicly, but they only really want them to fill their schedule on the weekends. And they don't want to pay for the accommodation and all the prize money. So they have to make themselves more financially viable. They've gone to the Bryan brothers to help them on that. And they need to advertise themselves better because it's tough in this industry.
I mean, he talks about McEnroe and Fleming, but you remember back in the day, it was Bob Hewitt and Frew McMillan, and people look at doubles through that sort of prism, maybe in my age range do, but doubles has never caught on in terms of the commercial viability about it, but notwithstanding it, it's still, doubles is a brilliant game.
Yeah.
Still a brilliant
I don't remember them, but you're a lot older than me, Simon. Greg, listen, I know you've got opinions about everything. Tell me this, World Cup semi-finals, France-Spain, who wins it?
France is going to the finals. France has been brilliant. Mbappe's been on fire. The one I'm looking forward to is England versus Argentina. And I was so happy to hear Tuchel going, the boys didn't play well, even though Bellingham said, yeah, we played well. No, the coach is right. And I'm glad of his transparency and honesty. We need to up it. And I think we get to the finals against France.
I like that, Greg. Did you like the questions from the interviewer as well?
Yeah, I did it. It's fair enough. You've got to ask the bold questions. If you don't, what are you going to find out? And I think Tuchel is a breath of fresh air. I thought it was going to be a problem having a German manage the team, but he's done a fantastic job. And I love somebody who answers questions honestly.
Well, Greg, if you need a doubles partner, mate, I'm here for you.
All right, Jimmy, let's go for it.
I need to borrow a racket, but I'm here for you. Greg, thank you very much indeed. Now, if you want to hear more from Greg, and you really ought to because he has a lot of good opinion, tune into the latest episode of Off Court with Greg Ruzetsky. Available now on your favourite podcast provider and YouTube.
After a game, positivity, and you throw that negative comment about what a manager says, but you haven't told Bellingham everything positive that the manager said.
Sorry, just being on the other side of that, right?
Yeah.
So you're a player, you've come off the pitch and maybe had negativity after a win, but that is his job.
Yeah.
That's him. That's the guy, the fella doing his job, Adrian Clark.
But is that a problem in the media then?
But it's not. It's just your manager's just said this. What do you make about that, Jude?
Yeah, but I still think like that might be his job, but then like when people moan, and there's been a lot of moaning on social media by a lot of the public, we've just got through to a semi-final. We should be positive, and people are creating a beef between our best player and the manager.
Tuchel created the beef.
No,
he put it out there
yeah, but
first.
Tuchel's not called out any player. He said what he thought about the game, which was honest. No problem. I totally agree with what he says. We can be a lot better. But when a player finishes a game, he's exhausted. He's done 110 minutes in that heat. He's shattered. He's carried his team through. He scored 2 goals. The last thing he wants to hear for the first question is, the manager said that's not good enough. Why do you say, like, okay, Jude Bellingham, what was that feeling like? Look at the fans behind you. How positive? Why can't we be positive in the media?
Because you can see that. You can quite clearly see there's a lot of positivity around you, Gabby.
What do you mean? Yeah, but that's the first question you want to ask your man. You don't want to be asked a negative question when
you're trying
shattered.
To win the World Cup.
Exactly.
Not just get to a semi-final.
No one said you're not trying
You've got through the quarterfinals. It wasn't your best performance.
Yeah.
It's nothing to get really overly excited about.
I think it is. I think it 100% is, because this World Cup, France are the only team that have been outstanding. Argentina, like I said, we've got through every round being poor. Then after the game, being with their media, we got to do. That's a conversation for another day. I just think we look for problems. There shouldn't be any problem, shouldn't be any big talk today about, there's beef, they don't get on. When I watch him on the pitch, he looks like he's listening to his manager. I don't see a beef there.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Football form roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. The world's gone football. Get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
And we're joined by Michael Shinners from Sky Bet to look at the football and the odds round and about it. Michael, good afternoon to you, mate. What about outrights? Where are we going?
Yeah, good afternoon, Jim. We're here. We're at the semi-finals at last. France head the market 11-8, Spain at 16-5 along with England, and then Argentina at 4-1. I guess the two things to flag are that France have led from pillar to post in terms of the betting. They were favourites at the start of the tournament, and the front four in the market are the last four remaining, and that was 100-1. It doesn't seem impossible to imagine that these were going to be the last four, but it was 100-1 for these last four teams to be in the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Okay, let's kick off with the first semi-final. So France-Spain, what's your thinking there?
Yeah, France just about, they're just favourites with ourselves at 13-10, the draw at 21-10, and Spain at 11-5. I mean, look, France have been, I think it's fair to say, the best team in the tournament so far. They head the market with ourselves. They're 11-8 to win the final, and, you would expect them to win this game, but, Spain they appear to be the second best team in the tournament, and, it's certainly going to be no penalty kick for them.
Righto. And to finish off, point three, I reckon, where will we take it? We'll talk England-Argentina further down the line. Let's do a build-a-bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we had a build-a-bet and we spoke about it where one customer had a ninefold, 9 bets in a build-a-bet in the England-Mexico game, turned £20 into £19,000. Just having a look at the 4 scenarios that could happen in this France-Spain game. Elise to win 3 or more fouls. Rabiot to be carded. He's committed the most fouls for France in this tournament. Mbappe to score at any time. Obviously, he's the joint top scorer, and Elise to get an assist. He's had the most assists in the tournament. That fourfold pays 20-1. So maybe we might get a few quid going into the final.
Sounds good to me, Michael. Thank you, mate. I'll speak to you during the week. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Football form roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. Download the Sky Bet app and get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Interestingly, Manchester City back here are to trial an initiative offering Premier League matchday tickets priced at £10 for adults living in the local area. I know you've been across this. I heard you talking about it with producer Luke. Residents in the ward surrounding the Etihad will be able to apply for discounted tickets for every top-flight home game, as well as some domestic cup and European matches. So the club says between 100 and 500 tickets will be kept aside, Simon, at the discounted rate for each match at home for adults, while concession tickets will cost £7.50, £5 for under 18s. What is this about? I mean, should more football clubs indulge in this kind of postcode lottery?
What, 300 seats out of 61,000?
It's something, isn't it? Why do it at all?
What do you do, though? We were doing kids for £1 20 years ago. What's it got? I mean, it's not a big deal, is it? 100 tickets. So let's say it's between 100 and 500 tickets. So let's call it a median of 300.
Yeah.
So 300 tickets out of 61,000 seats. What's that? 0.05%? What do we want to do?
Trial, isn't it?
To do what? Trial to do what?
Well, I mean,
well done,
if it works, they'll maybe extend it. If it gets a very good reaction,
well, it will work.
Then why not extend it?
We know it's going to work.
Do local fans deserve to be rewarded? Do they not? And they've decided to do it, or do they?
Why don't you give them 5,000 then?
All right.
If you're going to give them something, I mean, look, if it works, which it inevitably will do, because if you're giving tickets away at tenner or whatever it is, you're going to sell them,
right?
So
we've got to start somewhere.
So okay. So are we advocating for them to go to? Do we think in our little mind's eye that we're going to see them do 10,000 tickets at this price?
Well, they might do
20,
more than 500.
But it's going to work. We know it's going to work.
Right.
It's not possible for it not to work because unless my mind is deceiving me, Man City's pretty much sold out. I mean, it's 300 tickets out of 61,000. If we were talking about 10% of the tickets inside the stadium, I'd say, well, that's fantastic. But it's just a very token gesture. It's a token gesture that will be appreciated by 100 to 300 different people. And when they get in the stadium and pay £5 for a hot dog, they'll soon realise it's not.
It's better than something. It's better than doing nothing.
It's better than nothing.
We're always hearing about fans being priced out.
But it's better than nothing. But it's not far away from nothing, is it? But it isn't, is it? It's not far away from nothing.
Say this goes down well, and as you rightly say,
but it will go down well.
Right, it will go down well.
I hope it goes. I hope it goes down as a roaring success, and they get an unprecedented demand from all the local politicians saying this should be the standard price. Full stop.
Right,
and then they'll wish they'd never done it.
Say they start with 500 tickets.
But weren't they the same?
Thumbs up. What's the next one? What's the next?
But wasn't Man City being criticised about 6 months ago, and their fans going berserk about certain ticket prices and certain facilities and the removal of concessions and all kinds of things? Wasn't there an argument going on there? Isn't this just subterfuge? Isn't this, as we were talking about earlier on, deflection?
I thought you'd be happy that we're bringing about a good news story regarding one of the big clubs.
But as we know,
doing something.
But as we know, we don't like
supporters.
good news. We only like dark things. If it bleeds, it leads. This is a happy story.
No, but
we're not going to get any traction with this.
Ticket prices. This is something you're never that keen to talk about ticket prices.
I am.
Here we are in a very good way, highlighting something that one of the top clubs is doing.
Yes, and that's great. But what I'm saying is, it really is a very small gesture, isn't it?
Yeah.
For those that want to make a big deal out of it, they can all say it's wonderful, and they can all say I'm being a Grinch. In real terms, it's such a small, tiny little microcosm of what the actual stadium provides.
Yeah.
That it's not really worth giving them a pat on the back for, because this was the same club that I was listening to. We were talking about 6 months ago, having all kinds of outrage from the fans who, by the way, who've been at a football club for 17 years now, being bankrolled beyond their wildest dreams. And if it wasn't for that, they'd probably be back where they started from, down playing Chesterfield or wherever they were when they got relegated. And here they are, this big club, and they were all complaining against the ownership.
In your hugely controversial time as owner of Crystal Palace, did you come close to doing anything like this?
Kids for £1.
Kids for yeah, but local fans. What do you do for the local fans?
Gave them a football club for 10 years.
The man in the street.
Loads of things. We froze ticket prices. I froze ticket prices forever.
Or you froze them?
Yeah, but we weren't in the same space. At that time, playing in the Championship, when we were in the Premier League, no problem, since the ground was sold out. When you were in the Championship, you would get an average gate receipt of 15,000, 16,000 in a 25,000 seat stadium. So the way that football has gone in the last 10 years, the stadiums are being filled out in the Championship now. We didn't have that luxury back then.
Yeah. Okay. Well done, though. It's quite. Yeah, I mean, you always say the game's very capitalistic these days.
I don't make an apology for that, though.
This is a bit socialistic, though, and they should be applauded for it, shouldn't they?
I don't make an apology for it being capitalistic, because if you want the very best. I don't make any for socialism. Well, it's a great idea to spend other people's money, isn't it?
Well,
I'm in a situation where I look at it and go, I'm pragmatic about things.
Yeah.
You've already got initiatives in place in the Premier League where the away fans are actually paying less than home fans.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Okay.
How does that work?
Well, Manchester City will trial an initiative next season offering Premier League matchday tickets priced at £10 for adults living in the local area. Well done, says I. Simon, so what? It's 3:30. put it to him. The fans are loving it. You guys are in the semi-final.
But he talked about the manager specifically, and we're criticising or observing or opining on what Jude Bellingham's response to his manager, not what the fans say.
Was Tuchel unhappy with the performance?
Yeah, so he should be.
Yeah, that's what Gabriel put to Jude.
But he also talked...
That's a fair question to put to Jude,
why didn't
isn't
he
it?
put the balance?
But is that not a fair question to put to Bellingham?
At the same time as putting balance in the conversation. If you're trying to
agree to disagree.
It's dishonest. It's absolutely fundamentally
What's dishonest about it?
Because you're not presenting the full picture. You are taking what the manager's worst
Tuchel
things.
said his bit, and Jude said his bit.
But that is why I qualify things by sitting with you and peers, and I'm delighted to say that whilst I'm in the media, I'm not a creation of it. I didn't build my career around the media.
All that again.
Well, it's true.
That again.
It's true.
I've never heard anything like that.
No, because you wouldn't. Because you're a journalist. Your entire life has been journalism. What you do is you look at it and go,
Morgan
how can we get
throat about that as well? No, we don't.
but
And that's where you're wrong. No one in the media, when you get to the level of Gabriel Clark, you're not in a mix zone or you're not in a post-match situation going, oh, I've got him. I've got him. You do not get it.
I watch you guys.
You do not get it.
I watch you do it. I watch you do it. I watch peers do it. I watch you all do it. I've been on the receiving end.
You think this is a gotcha moment?
Yeah, you guys love it.
How wrong can you be?
You guys can't get more excited.
And have you never done a gotcha moment?
No, I have a strong... Well, like what?
In your various media
No, when I have a robust conversation with somebody about opinions on something,
even though,
I don't try and trip them up.
Media or part of it or not part of it, or when you're in or out.
No, I try to make them accountable, give them a rounded perspective. So if I confront somebody with an argument, it's rounded, so they can deal with all aspects of it. Because I want to win the argument on fact, on merit, rounded, so they can deal with all aspects of it. Because I want to win the argument on fact, on merit,
so really,
not by creating.
There's nobody else like you.
I don't think so. Yeah, absolutely right.
Love it.
Anybody else under Premier League Football Club?
Love it.
No,
that's true. And I'll give you that.
There you go.
And that is true, Simon. And
Anyone
I will
else
say
under
this.
17 businesses?
You are absolutely right. When it comes
I can go on.
Bobby Moore, leading England at the 1970 World Cup. But did you know, 2 weeks before this photo was taken, Moore was under arrest in Colombia. So England were doing some altitude training in South America. Moore and Bobby Charlton went to a gift shop in their hotel looking for a present for Charlton's wife, and they left when they found nothing of interest. But as they were standing in the hotel foyer, the shop assistant came out and accused Moore of stealing a gold bracelet. He denied wrongdoing and was let go. England jetted off for a quick friendly match, but returned to the same hotel a few days later. And there, Moore was detained and placed under house arrest. Thinking he'd be without his captain for some time, Sir Alf Ramsey and the rest of the England squad left for Mexico. Back in Colombia, Moore was summoned before a judge. This is him, with the solicitors outside the court. The case saw him have to reenact the moment numerous times and face hours of questioning. By this point, the British Prime Minister Harold Wilson had got involved, and after several days, Moore was released. He got straight on a flight to Mexico City and arrived just in time for tea. The saga was...
It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT this Monday afternoon, just gone at 3:30. Of course, all eyes on this World Cup, all eyes on this USA World Cup. The US, one of three host nations, the other being Canada and Mexico, of course. But of course, big questions are being asked about what's it going to be like thereafter, after the World Cup comes and goes. How's it going to be for America? How's it going to be for the MLS? Really delighted to be joined by our next guest. Back in 2024, Greg Broughton was appointed sporting director of MLS club Chicago Fire, originally from England. Greg had previously served as the director of football for Blackburn, and he began his career with Wycombe Wanderers way back in 1999. Since then, he's held technical staff positions with Luton, Norwich, and Bodo Glimt up in Norway, who continue to defy the odds in the Champions League. Simon, I'm delighted to say Chicago Fire sporting director Greg Broughton joins us live on the show. Greg, good afternoon to you. I mean, how have you done it? You've gone from EFL to the MLS. I mean, what was it about the American football landscape that interested you?
Firstly, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you both. Good question. It wasn't specifically about the US. I think I spoke with Greg Berhalter, our head coach, director of football, on the phone. He had a really ambitious project to try and turn Chicago Fire around, backed by, I think, one of the greatest owners in American sport, Joe Mansueto, who was building a brand new training ground, a brand new stadium in Chicago. I've been very lucky at Bodo Glimt to witness what patience can do and good ownership can do. And we're partly on the way on that journey right now with Chicago Fire.
Excellent. I saw Chicago Fire playing over there years ago, and I loved it. I thought the crowd were great. Schweinsteiger was playing for Chicago Fire, so it's some time back, Greg. This idea, though, that the MLS believes it will become one of the top 5 leagues in the world. Do you agree with that ambition? Will it?
I don't think this is a 5-year story. I don't see the MLS becoming a top 5 league in the next 5 years, but I think you have to have a North Star. You have to have something to aim towards. And the way that the league is building its infrastructure, new stadiums, as I've said, opening in Chicago, but also in New York, brand new world-class training facilities that are operating across the country, that many of the teams in this World Cup have commented on just how good these facilities are. And I think you have to put this infrastructure in place then to go to the next level. And that's already well underway.
I mean, Simon, in the World Cup, the stadia that we've witnessed, they have been sensational, some of the venues.
Yeah, but we are now in an embarrassment of riches around the world for wonderful stadiums. Once upon a time, you saw most of the best stadiums, certainly not being football stadiums in America, or what we know to be football. Do I think they're going to be a top 5 league anytime soon? Not in their current formats, and I don't mean that in terms of relegation, because I spent some time over there looking at it with Dan Countermouch, who's the Chief Communications Officer at the MLS, and with Don Gerber. But their ambition is to be that. I think there's going to be some sort of amalgamation with other leagues, whether it's an Asian league or a South American league, and creating a domestic broadcasting powerhouse behind soccer. Because if you look at what it's doing in representation terms, and Greg will know this, despite the fact that it hasn't got the commercial broadcasting deals it has currently got, it's the 3rd most participated and valued sport, not commercially, but in terms of representation and participation in America, behind the NFL and the NBA. That represents huge opportunities for the sport.
Right. So, I mean, Greg, when the World Cup comes and goes, what do you envisage? Is there going to be a boom in terms of soccer there? Is Chicago Fire going to be the beneficiary of such a boom? Are other MLS clubs? What do you, in the short term or long term, what do you envisage?
I think what I've witnessed on the ground in Chicago, and obviously we're not hosting any World Cup games ourselves in Chicago,
sure.
But what I've witnessed even from a distance is 2 things. I've noticed people talking about the sport. You're in a queue in a supermarket and people are talking about a game they've seen the night before. And when you're walking past the park, you're seeing kids reenacting and being Haaland or being Bellingham or being Elise, names that didn't feature. It was always previously about Messi or Ronaldo. Now you're seeing names on a global scale. And I think that's the legacy the World Cup will leave. It left a great legacy in '94, which was the MLS. And hopefully this will now allow us as a country to develop to the next level.
And might that be longer lasting this time?
For sure. I think the MLS has done a great job in the 30 years. It's survived some tough times, and now it's in a real position of strength, and the foundations are there for real success to be built on.
Commercially, Jim, I hate to make it all about money, but you know, when I was looking at buying Sheffield Wednesday you couldn't give away to people because it was a problematic football club. Montreal Impact, which is, with due respect, not a particularly meaningful MLS franchise, is worth $400 million. Beckham's Inter Miami, has got a valuation of over $1 billion. The more commercial the sport becomes, you've got the current broadcasting deal, which doesn't make a lot of sense for them because it's really indexed around Lionel Messi, and you've got ergonomic issues with people being able to access it. If they can get a broadcast deal and they can change the way the squad cap rules work in terms of the way that they're paying players, and I'm not advocating for players to be paid more money, but you've got the NFL and the NBA teams that have got payrolls of $500 million. When you build the MLS out, if it wants to compete with Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Eredivisie, or the Portuguese league, then it's going to have to change some of the way it pays players, and not just paying players to be elderly statesmen going into the MLS, a bit like Messi's been a catalyst, a bit like Suarez has been a catalyst, and Jordi Alba's been a catalyst. This isn't a New York Cosmos of the 70s with Pele and Franz Beckenbauer there. This is a properly formed league, and despite the idea that relegation is something that we must have in football, I actually found the concept of the way that they set it up with so many teams able to participate in the playoffs, meaning that more games have more meaning all the way through the season, is actually quite interesting.
Yes, yeah. And I do notice, Greg, on that very theme, you've got yourselves a big name. Robert Lewandowski has joined on a 2-year deal after leaving Barcelona. But again, it's a similar situation as to elsewhere. Leo Messi isn't starting out, of course, and has made a huge name for himself worldwide. And is it Inter Miami? Schweinsteiger in the past, now Lewandowski is at Chicago Fire. You seem to go, the MLS clubs seem to go for players not quite in the twilight of, but not far off it in their careers.
Yeah, look, I think that's a fair comment. We've worked tirelessly for 18 months to try and bring Lewandowski to Chicago, and we're really hopeful he'll make his debut on Thursday evening when we play our first game back after the World Cup. But some of the other stories in the background, what I've seen in my 18 months working in the States now, is you're getting more and more young European players interested in coming to the league. We brought Davila and Barroso in from the Portuguese top division, for example, who've had a huge impact on our team. And what I think is the league is now getting the correct balance between bringing young top talent from across the world, but also supplementing that with some of the world's biggest stars.
Greg, I'm interested in your time at Norway. You were at Bodo Glimt, and they've raised an eyebrow or two with what they've done in the Champions League. The quarter-final success for the country. Norway almost sending England home, but they didn't manage to do it. What have you made of Norway's journey at this World Cup?
It's been incredible to see. I was lucky to go to 2 of their group games live, and to see the fun and enjoyment their supporters were having with no expectations was immense. And what I think it does, we talked about legacies, and I think it will really leave a lasting legacy in Norway. Now their international team knows it, believes it can do it. And you're seeing the rewards now for them not panicking, not making huge changes after not qualifying for Qatar in 2022 or for the Euros in 24. They stayed with what they were trying to build, and they're now getting the success on the back of that.
Interesting. Do you think Sporting Kansas City will follow your example by going after a big name? You've got Lewandowski. They might get Mo Salah. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I read the same link that you've probably read on that one. So let's see what happens.
Great having you on board. Good luck with Chicago Fire and Lewandowski. Hope it goes well for you.
Thanks, guys. Good to speak this afternoon.
Great stuff. Greg Broughton. I mean, these guys, honestly, the experience he's got now, both over this side of the pond and there. I mean, I wonder, Simon, if the MLS, if this is indeed a turning point for the MLS with the World Cup having been over there.
Turning point what? To be more domestically significant?
To be stronger?
Well, that only becomes
a better recognition.
Well, first and foremost, he's taking a 38-year-old Lewandowski, right?
Right.
So despite the fact these guys are big names, they're no longer fit for purpose probably in European football. And until you change that direction, until you produce more players that play in American football that want to stay in the MLS and stop going over to Europe, you're not going to advance the game. What I saw, and I'm sorry, I make no apology for it, what I saw when I was over there 18 months ago was a massive substandard. It wasn't even as good as League One. So to suggest that it's a competitive league, it's not competitive in broadcasting terms. It doesn't matter what it has. What does it have? A $250 million a year broadcast deal? I mean, with respect, the Premier League has a $5 billion, a $7 billion a year broadcast deal. So you've got Mark Warburton talking the other day or a year ago. He's over in Charlottesville, isn't he, or North Carolina or somewhere of that nature with academies. They're producing more and more players. Clearly the teams there's more expansion teams now. You've got 32 teams now, where once upon a time franchises are being bought now. Once upon a time they're being bought for $10 million. Now they're being bought for $500 million. The sport economically, the engines are starting, which means the Americans are not going to be involved in a sport that they're not good at. So and given the fact that these franchises are now costing $500 million a time, and you've seen them pop up recently. It wasn't Beckham's one that was the last one. It wasn't Matthew McConaughey's one. Was it Austin that was the last one?
Yeah.
So you've got people coming up all the time and spending money on these teams.
Yeah.
Until they change the structure of how they pay their players. And the argument will be if they put some relegation in there, which the owners will never go for, unless they're going to relegate teams between two leagues without having financial penalties. Otherwise, why would the owners sign up for a model that doesn't work in any other sport in America? So, do I think they're going to be a powerhouse? Yes, but I think they'll amalgamate with another league. That's what I think the North Americans are going to do.
You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
They get into this weird situation where they forget what happened before. So all the big games, they played Havertz, right? Gyökeres, who you bought in at the start of the season, was going to be, for all the big games. In all the big games, he was on the bench. Facts. That's what happened. So the manager doesn't trust him. That's not our opinion. That's just objectively looking at it. Havertz gets injured quite a lot, unfortunately. Gary Jesus is not the same since he's come back from his injury. So if you're now telling me that you can get through this season again and everybody else is going to be as poor as they were last year, I think you're just forgetting the fact that you lot were all losing your marbles around the Man City loss. And it was, we need a proper striker. Arteta don't know what he's doing again. You win the league, it's great, we're going to win it.
But you know, what I've always said to, I've always said to you, I always said to him, though, Gyökeres wasn't bought in for the big games, did I? I said that to you. We bought Gyökeres in for the game.
No, I get
listen,
explain.
I want to hear
the year before, Arsenal, it weren't the record against Man City's, the Liverpool, it weren't that cost us the league. It was we couldn't beat Fulham, couldn't beat West Ham, couldn't beat them lesser clubs. Gyökeres coming. I mean, he said it. Right, it's one of them. Gyökeres this season, though. Gyökeres this season scored against the Fulhams, the West Ham, so we didn't have a problem getting past those teams, which is why then we went on to win the league.
Okay, I think you won the league because you played very pragmatic football. I'm not actually allowed to say the type of football that people are calling it on air, but you played a certain type of football.
Would you play that type of football to win the league?
No.
What?
What are you talking? Of course you would.
Honestly.
If I was a footballer.
No, it's just like...
You're my team.
Yeah.
No, I'll be happy like you lot. I'll be exactly... You get me? I'll be happy. Of course I will.
But would you like to see Spurs play that way to win?
Brendan Johnson scored with like his knee or something and we won the trophy. I'm happy. I don't care, bro. However it gets done, I'm happy. I don't really care. But what I'm saying is, you can't like gloat about it and say, we don't need a 9. That's crazy. You do need a 9, respectfully. What are you talking about, bro? If you sold Osimhen and Havertz right now, you could... Osimhen. If you bought Osimhen and sold Gyökeres and Havertz right now, you'd be great. You'd be fine. You could buy Barcola. Barcola and Osimhen changes their team, bro.
Do you know what? I'm happy with what we got.
Oh, you're a liar. That's a lie. You're a liar. That is a lie.
I'm happy with
that.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Oh yes, the semi-final stage of this World Cup. France, Spain, and then England, Argentina. So, I mean, it makes it even more difficult to appreciate that clubs are back and they're talking about next season, but they are. And new managers at some of the top clubs are talking about next season. Take Andoni Iraola, of course, at Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool, we're going to have to get used to that. Iraola, once of Bournemouth, now Liverpool. So he's been speaking today and he was asked if he was happy with how his squad is shaping up.
Obviously, we've signed 2 players already, but we need more players. We know this. The club is working on this. Me as a coach, selfishly, you want the players here the day one, ready to train from the pre-season. But we understand that football doesn't work like this, no. And I know the club is working hard to get those signings, and I'm trying obviously to help also.
I mean, at Bournemouth, Simon, I suppose Iraola had to go with Bill Foley and what they were doing there.
Yeah.
If anyone was sold from underneath them, it was like, well, fair enough. It's for the betterment of the club. It's for the good of the club, balance of books, whatever. It's a different ballgame at Liverpool, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, he's used to having players sold from underneath him, left or not from underneath him, but accepting the principle, the fact that not just being sold, but release clauses being met and players being taken to Real Madrid and Liverpool. Interesting, he's adjusted very quickly to the landscape that we must have new players. Is why was the squad not particularly good in the first place? Pretty good squad, much better than he had before. But of course, by the same token, he's managing Liverpool, so he knows,
be more demanding.
He knows that he's got greater expectations on him. Liverpool are not turning up into the Premier League and being grateful to be in there. Yeah. Not suggesting that Bournemouth are entirely in that camp, but notwithstanding that, when Bournemouth do well, it's a wonderful thing. When, like I said the other day, if Bournemouth finish 6th, it's a revelation. If Liverpool finish 6th, it's an aberration. So that's the standard that he's in. And so he knows that he has the best version of himself and the best version of the playing squad. Be interesting to see how he goes, because he's done nothing but do wonderful things at Bournemouth. Slow start in the first season. When Gary O'Neill was taken out, it looked like Gary O'Neill's move to Wolves was going to pan out better than them being moved from Bournemouth. Yeah. But look what he did. Look what he did with that team. Now, it'll be interesting to see if it translates, because it is different. And there's no doubt that the manager can manage. It's just, can he manage under this kind of expectation?
So that's Liverpool. What we're going to see at Chelsea, since the Blue Co took over at Chelsea, there have been 8 different managers in the dugout, including permanent and interim. The latest fellow through the door is someone we know well, Xabi Alonso. He's been speaking today. Chelsea, what kind of season lies ahead? Is a return to the Champions League the target?
Well, for sure, that's a goal, but to reach that goal, you need to do many right things, and to be part of that process, how we want to play, how we want to see ourselves, how we want to approach each game, wherever we go. That's my job. That's what I'm really looking forward to have the whole squad. At the moment, we have some bits, but early days, and happy early days so far. But for sure, we want to be there, and time will tell, but we are ambitious. And to be in Chelsea, you need to share those that energy, that ambition, and as well that hunger to want to have success.
Lasted 8 months into a 3-year contract at Real Madrid, left by mutual consent.
Yeah.
So now it's Chelsea. I mean, they have no Europe, so it's like 1 game a week.
Sure.
So don't be looking for excuses, because no one's prepared to accept any.
I don't think he's going to be giving any excuses. I mean, I know that he's a little bit guarded in that press conference and doesn't want to talk about really what the objective is. The objective is that absolutely categorically, unequivocally, he's been brought in to get into the Champions League, to start building a side that wins things. You've got ownership model that's been in place now for what, 4.5 years? Now, whatever mistakes they've made, now they're making, how much the owners, fans don't like them, how much money they may or may not have spent on different players. You've now got a manager, and everyone was saying that, prior to this appointment, who's going to want to work for these clowns? All they do is interfere. They've got 175 sporting directors. Who's going to work for them? Oh, I know, the manager that everyone was tipping to go to Liverpool. That manager. So we'll see how he does. I mean, obviously, there's lots of circumstances in which there might be reasons why he failed. Some suggesting that the dressing room, which was probably fraught with issues between Mbappe and Bellingham, was a part and parcel of the reasons why he struggled at Real Madrid. But he still comes with a big reputation on the back of what he did in Germany. And it'll be interesting to see if he's as good as that team that we saw that he produced a couple of years ago, because Chelsea should be a force. They give all this crap about, let's build a season. You have got a lot of money around you. You've got a lot of players. You've got to knit them together. You're going to bring some more experience in there, I suspect. And they're already talking about the experience levels that they're bringing in with other players that are being signed. So go produce a winning team.
Yeah.
Get yourself back into that top 4.
Yeah.
That's where the Chelsea should be aiming for this season.
Yeah. Wonder who finishes above who. Iraola and Liverpool or Xabi and Chelsea?
Well, Liverpool's base is probably more settled because they've got a better... currently got a better side.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the fact they didn't particularly produce the season that everyone expected them to, Isak is going to play well next year. Isak, as much as I thought his behaviour leaving Newcastle was deplorable and an indictment of how footballers behave at times, but as a player, he's a first-class player. Get him fit for the beginning of the season. He'll be scoring goals. They haven't got the Salah problem anymore. They've got a new manager that plays in a certain way. I think it's a positive season for Liverpool, this one.
All right, good. No doubt we'll be hearing more from Premier League managers in the course of this week. World Cup semi-final week. Simon, I will see you tomorrow.
You will.
Muchas gracias. Coming next, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent are back in New York City. We know where they are for World Cup Drive, and they'll be joined by former Watford captain, and we know him as well, Troy Deeney.
Go to Ben. He's Arsenal fan. All right, Ben.
Benny boy.
How you doing? You all right?
I'm all right, Ben. We've got to do this quarter-final 11. Let's get it going. Come on.
All right. I've got the Spanish flamenco dance on the wing. Dancing around defence. Their foot tapping all dazzle their defence and send them sideways.
Yeah, the old flamenco dance.
And
Dance
the little maverick on the wing. Little maverick on the wing.
Like a flamenco dance.
Yeah.
What are they called? Is it a flamenco or is it what is it? Flamenco.
Madame, wait for you.
Flamenco.
It's a flamenco.
Yeah.
Flamenco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know you're iconic now, Ben?
No, Ben,
Yeah.
He's actually iconic.
Ben appears every single night at the sports bar.
Every night.
Doesn't he?
Without foul.
Yeah. Yeah. Been over a year.
It's been a year. All right, look, the flamenco dancer on a wing.
Yeah.
Okay. Dancing about. Bit of maverick in there. All right, let's go to Dave.